All these ancient prophecies telling us that the world will be transformed.
Wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can he steal? He makes all this stuff up and claims that it's all true. The aliens want to eat us. Be careful that they don't get you. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal? It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. It's the wacky world of Wilcock. How much money can you steal?
This is where if I have a live audience, I get everybody to hug each other. I say, give your neighbor a handshake or a hug, whatever you feel is appropriate to you. And that way everybody feels the love a little more. I will never believe it, I will never believe it. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you need 25,000 more years, I don't know, buddy. But look, this is really compelling information, and it's going to get a lot more intense. It's coming up in a couple days here on Sunday, so if you haven't already signed up, we have reopened the cart. We still have the payment plan in place.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. It would appear that Mr. Wilcock, some say in an effort to get out of the allegedly millions of dollars of debt he's in, is doing the Super Chat Shuffle and has done an additional stream yesterday. And everybody wanted me to talk about it because, oh boy, I don't even know where to begin except to say that Wilcock is accusing people of being criminals because they've sent emails to Spadevacchia asking questions, including an investigative journalist. He's calling people the P word. You know that word, the word YouTube doesn't really like, so I don't want to say it, but he called several people the P word. He also conflated multiple people into one person and blamed tonight's guest for all of the perceived injustices against him. And it was kind of a rambling mess because in one sense he was saying that he's going to sue people, and in another sense he's saying that they're going to jail, which is really two separate things. Are you calling the police or are you calling a lawyer and suing people? And I don't understand, as somebody who makes a lot of phone calls and asks a lot of questions myself to do our reporting here, I don't understand how an investigative journalist calling and asking questions about court documents he found is an attack. But welcome to the wacky world of Wilcock, where make-believe is real. And I've got a terrible deja vu feeling because remember, I was here and previously reported on Corey Goode doing this same thing, the Dark Alliance, and everybody criticizing me as a criminal and the P word. And it appears that Mr. Wilcock is now using Corey Goode-like tactics, threatening to sue all of his critics. And I don't think it's going to go well. And also, this yesterday's stream was sort of more deja vu for me because he's once again predicting major world global events and mass arrests and, this whole thing that he did this before. He's already predicted this and grifted off of this before. And nothing happened. Nothing that he said would happen happened. There were no mass arrests. He's been pulling this mass arrests and 3 days of darkness. The internet might shut off and there'll be emergency broadcasting on everybody's phone and cable TV and all this other stuff. He's done this before and nothing happened. But that was several years ago. I remember it. I've even found clips from it. And he's doing it again. This is this false sense of urgency that Wilcock tries to scare his followers into buying whatever crap he's selling at the time. All these major events are happening, and my current work just so happens to coincide with these major events that are going to happen. And then no major events happen, and rinse and repeat the grift a few years later. But back to my guest tonight. I'm pleased that he's here, and I want to put on the record a public thank you to him. John Christian Spadevacchia perhaps knows more about Stevati Aerospace than anyone on earth that I have encountered. He has been investigating them for quite some time. And this John Christian Spadevacchia, our guest tonight, was the person that David Wilcock essentially crowd-striked, which is against YouTube terms of service. He could get a strike or lose his channel for that. Essentially, Wilcock, basically directed, well, we'll get into it when we welcome our guest. But David Wilcock, speaking about John Christian Spadevacchia, said, quote, "John Christian Spadevacchia is a total attacker. Any name I put out there, this guy is all over it. He just never stops. It's incredible," unquote. And this, of course, came from David Wilcock. And we've got some clips to share and things like that. But I thought, I also want to put on the record and thank John Christian Spadevacchia, because a lot of the reporting that we've done here about David Wilcock's various legal problems and all the lawsuits against Stevati were from court documents that John Christian Spadevacchia got and in the course of his research, which he kindly shared with us. And I'm really thankful for that. I don't think I would have gotten those stories or that information without his kindness and generosity to share that information. This guy is tenacious. He's an incredible investigative journalist, and it won't stop until he gets the whole story of what's really going on. He's been largely instrumental in peeling back the layers of deception around David Wilcock's false claims and his shady aerospace company, which, by the way, has never produced, to my knowledge, a single product or service for sale or any profits. But they've been in business for, I think, decades now. So it's the wacky world of Wilcock, friends. Make-believe really is real. We're going to bring him in here. And 1 second. Oh, there we go. Mr. Spadevacchia. What a name, right?
Truth seekers, it's a privilege to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that we finally get to talk. And John, you don't know this, but I am always selfishly like, I wanted to have this kind of conversation that we're going to have tonight a bunch of times, but I always say, well, I don't want to do that off air. I'll just do it on the show, and then I can take my audience with me for the ride into, picking your brain and your knowledge about this.
Yeah, Stevati is a 30-year-old airspace company. They turned 30 this year, actually, the big 3-0 for them. And I've been researching them seriously for roughly almost a year now. I've been researching them casually since probably the beginning of 2003, end of 2022. I'm sorry, 2023, 2022. I was first motivated to take a look into.
I was just going to ask, what got you into this rabbit hole? Because this is quite a weird rabbit hole. What got you in?
What got me in is quite simply you breaking the story of the Corey Good deposition.
Oh,
so good. Yeah, I mean that event, when I saw that guy who had claimed that all his stories were true for years and years, and he just goes into court and just casually says he made it all up. That motivated me, and I asked myself a simple question: if Corey Good and David Wilcock are, together, if they're partners in crime or not crime as it may be, if they're spaghetti and meatballs, and Corey admitted in court that he made it all up, what has David Wilcock been dishonest about? What has he been making up? So I naturally did some digging, and everyone should keep in mind at this point, I didn't even have not more knowledge of Stevati than any other normal person. They're a rather obscure company. My knowledge of them was probably equivalent to any reasonable person in your audience tonight. So I started out casually, probably in January, just looking, just casually looking at things, didn't really seem right with the company. There were rough edges, and there were inconsistencies, and there were things that just didn't make sense. But during my casual period up probably through about a year ago, it just, I guess something kept me in the search. And it came to me at the end of June, around the end of June, beginning of July last year, when during my research, I discovered the Dimitrov lawsuit. And you probably remember that. I was the one that reached out to you, gave you that tip, and that became a big thing, the revelation of the Dimitrov lawsuit.
Yeah, and by the way, I want to thank you for all of the stuff that you've shared with me, because we got all these. I feel like I got a bunch of exclusive stories, and you just handed them to me, so that was nice. And my audience appreciates it, because my audience wants to know this stuff.
Yeah,
and you got that. So
yeah, and it's crazy to to even think back to then, even just a year ago when this happened, roughly, because back then, I was such a greenhorn. I was still doing like the casual thing. I was still, not going fully down the rabbit hole. I wasn't looking at the full depth and breadth of things. But when I discovered the Dimitrov lawsuit, things began to change for me, and I really began to get motivated to looking very seriously. But then something else happened. I went on to Stavati's YouTube channel. Stavati had a YouTube channel back then.
They took it down, yeah.
I went onto one of their videos, and I left a comment about the lawsuit. Now, Stephen, YouTube gives lots of options to content creators to control comments they don't like, delete them, block them, etc. So I leave a comment. About a day later, I noticed something. Stavati didn't delete my comment. They didn't delete that video. Stephen, they deleted their whole channel.
Yeah, but here's what's so funny. So this supposed company that's going to build multi-million-dollar aircraft were so afraid or incensed or offended by one YouTube comment that you left that they deleted their entire YouTube channel, which was mostly like fancy pictures of airplanes they've never built.
Yeah, I don't miss that channel.
Animations. Yeah.
I don't really miss the channel. And
it's funny because they're supposed to be a multi-million-dollar company, and you left one comment and they just deleted the whole YouTube channel. Nothing suspicious about that, right? I mean, it's so stupid.
An appropriate measured response to a comment you don't like is just to whack the whole channel.
Yeah.
So when they did that, that's when it clicked for me, and that's when I started going full bore, because I knew that I had a tiger by the tail. Because you don't delete your whole YouTube channel. And just so the audience is aware, that was back last July. As of this March 2024, Stavati has recreated their YouTube channel, except my comments aren't allowed anymore. So currently, their YouTube channel has like one video with like 30 views and no comments. What a channel!
Yeah, and again, they're supposed to be a multi-million-dollar company, and they've only got 30 views on one of their videos. It's so stupid. And I keep saying this, John. David Wilcock lives in a false constructed reality where it's make-believe is real. Like Stavati is this huge aerospace company that's going to compete with Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all these other huge aerospace companies. And it's all like a weird facade, like there is no company, right? Like, when did they start in business? And I'm correct in my assessment, right? They have never, to my knowledge, created a single airplane that they sold anybody.
Well, I mean, you don't even have to say to my knowledge. Their attorneys, their defense attorneys in the Dimitrov case made a filing admitting that they've never made an aircraft. So we don't have to say things like, to my knowledge, or I believe.
Well, I say that to be safe in case I'm ever wrong, because I could have they could have had a prototype or sold a few prototypes or something that I wasn't aware of. But you're right.
Well, Stephen,
just to be clear, we have to explain to the audience. So Stavati Aerospace took from this person, Dimitrov, who sued them, $1 million. And then they claimed that they were going to give him back $5 million, right? but they
Well, it
haven't given
wasn't.
him back any of his money. So he sued them. And in the court documents, this is very important. The person suing Stevati Aerospace, David Wilcock's hovercar company, called them an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme, right?
Well, actually, he has a bit. The lawyers, when they, describe the count charges and in their filings, they use a bit different language than that. But yeah, I really think when it comes to Stevati, it's really important to look at the fact that they have been around for 30 years. And you mentioned prototypes or demonstrators. If you go on a YouTube and you look up the Stevati Javelin, maybe we should take a look at that with your audience right now, because there is a background on this, and it's actually pretty damning.
Okay. What I should just search for Stevati Javelin?
Stevati Javelin, yes. There's one video on YouTube.
Okay. I think I got it. No, I don't. Stevati Aerospace unveils new Javelin military jet trainer. Is that what the one?
Correct. Yeah. Click that.
And then there's
look
a
at that one.
Javelin flight test. Okay. Let me share my screen, but first I got to put up real fast. Let me just put up this fair use banner. This is transformative work. We're educating the public, and we're going to be discussing and critiquing the video that we are sharing. Yeah, so this is from Stevati.
So hold on before we play. We need to very, very closely take a look at the words here, because they're deceptive. It says flight test of Stevati Javelin demonstrator aircraft as originally built and flown by ATG. Please understand what's happening here. This aircraft, this video that we're about to see, is the one demonstrator that ATG built of their Javelin back in the 2000s. So this aircraft was never built by Stevati. It's the wording here and the way that the syntax and the language is, it's a little bit misleading. So we have to be very careful with our reading comprehension here. We really do, or otherwise you might kind of think that this is Stevati, that Stevati made this aircraft, and they never did. Go ahead and hit play.
Okay, so they basically just bought it from another company that did build it?
So what happened was ATG made this demonstrator. They didn't get the contract, and then the whole company folded, and everyone lost their job. Pause the video. Pause the video. So the audience and us can see that the word ATG is clearly on the side of this aircraft, as is the FAA number. And if you look that up, it clearly says that the manufacturer is ATG. So once again, this is a video of the demonstrator when ATG produced it and when ATG was, doing this test. Stevati bought the rights to this aircraft after ATG had folded, and Stevati has never produced this aircraft. Please understand why this is important. Stevati has all these other aircraft, all these other 3D designs. That's really all they are, is 3D designs. But they bought this aircraft, the intellectual property for it. An actual aircraft in this video that, even though it's a demonstrator, you're going to see it. It seems to fly pretty good. And they never built this. So Stevati has all these 3D designs that they, claim that they have intentions of producing and manufacturing on a mass scale. And they have this real aircraft, and they've never built any of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, 30 years, no actual products. Yeah, but it is very deceptive because to an investor looking at them, they could show this and you would go, wow, they built it. You would think as an investor, maybe you're not so educated and you don't understand the ATG connection. You would say, hey, they built this cool jet and here it is flying. So they're a real company,
And the title of, like I said, the title of this video, it's very misleading. So it's little things like this that I have, I've come to become aware of, and you really have to be careful when it comes to Stevati's marketing, because it can be very, very deceptive.
Yeah, I would say it's especially to investors, because to an outsider looking in, you just go, well, hey, they got a jet and it's up in the air. Look, it's flying. It looks pretty high tech,
Just so the audience is aware, if they're not already, Stevati is technically a private company. Under current securities law, the only people that are really eligible to invest in Stevati are what are known as qualified investors. So qualified investor is someone who is either single and making a qualified income of $200,000 a year or more, or a joint couple who are making qualified $300,000 a year. So those are really the only people that are eligible to invest in Stavati. And as your audience is probably well aware, when people get wealthier and wealthier, they usually get other people to manage their money. They're really not smart about money, or they tend not to be, because they get money managers. And a lot of times, if there's an incompetent money manager, or a disconnect between the money manager and the source of the money, then these kind of deceptions can get through. But it's really a case here of this aircraft flew. I mean, you could see it flying.
Yeah,
you can see his landing gear and everything. And after this, after this demonstrator test, ATG folded and everyone lost their job, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, yeah, but it shows. To me, it shows almost deliberate deception. Like, look, this is one of our airplanes. No, it's not. It's not.
It is.
And do you know? Did they get the physical prototypes, or did they just get the intellectual property rights? Because
they only got the intellectual property, to my knowledge.
Yeah, so they don't even own this airplane. They don't even own this physical airplane then.
Not to my knowledge.
Wow, great. Yeah. Well, that's very, very interesting. And, one of the other things that I've been thinking, John, is how kind of ridiculous is it? Is it as ridiculous to you as it is to me that this company is actively seeking investors? They want people to invest in their company. And while that is ongoing, they have a director of advanced technology who is on YouTube publicly telling people that the Archangel Michael told him to take baths in his own piss, and then he got superpowers and all this other crazy stuff. That, in the latest stream, he's basically Jesus reincarnated too. Like, isn't that counterproductive to getting people to invest in a company where one of your board members, right? I'm not wrong. Like, one of their board members is on YouTube making absolutely wackadoo ridiculous claims every week. Yeah,
so to really dive to the heart of the matter here, we have to understand that Stavati's 30 years old, but there's really a tale of two Stavatis. There's the Stavati that existed roughly pre-2019, before David Wilcock got in the company. And then there is the modern incarnation of Stavati with, Wilcock's participation, and obviously his financial and pecuniary contributions to the purchase of their hangar, which is Stavati's hangar. It is not David Wilcock's hangar.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to clarify that situation as well.
I have the deed that says that the grantee is Stavati Aerospace's Wyoming corporate entity.
Well, we'll just cover that now. For those unaware, David Wilcock keeps saying that he bought this airplane hangar. There's clips of him saying, I bought this airplane hangar because I believe in this. He didn't buy the airplane hangar. He essentially, or allegedly, I suppose, gave Stavati Aerospace the money, and they purchased it. And the hangar is all in Stavati's name, right? According to the public documents. It's not in Wilcock's name. It's in Stavati's name.
Correct.
So,
and why would David Wilcock want an old Army hangar in his name? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
If he's a member of the corporation, the asset should be on the corporation.
There's something else we should mention too, is it's also because of you and getting those court documents that we know that Stavati's only income, it doesn't come from anything in the aeronautics industry or aerospace. It comes from a garbage dumpster company that is currently renting that facility and storing garbage dumpsters there, right?
Correct.
This is so funny to me. He's building cars. He's got to move the dumpsters out of the way first.
I want to make some things clear on Been There, Dump That, because they have caught a lot of flack since it was me that revealed to the world in August of last year that they were getting their only income from this dumpster company and that it was current. I saw that information in one of the court filings when Beskar said that they had this income, and then I contacted Been There, Dump That up in Niagara, and I spoke to them. Let me make it clear that they were very nice.
I didn't know this. You spoke to the dumpster company that is storing their dumpsters in David Wilcock's Aerospace hover car factory.
I called
That's so funny.
I called them last August. I live halfway. I live like in a totally different area. I do not live in Niagara, and I called them, and they were very nice. They answered all my questions. They wanted to know if I had any more questions, and I confirmed that they were still the tenant up there. And I want to make something clear. Like, people are saying things like, "Oh, there's garbage in the hangar. There's garbage dumpsters in the hangar." If you go on Google Maps, you will see that the dumpsters are not in the hangar. They're outside the hangar. And
Oh, okay.
these aren't really garbage dumpsters. They're like the large rectangular dumpsters that are used for renovation, demolition. If you want to remodel your house, you'll rent one of these and put it in your driveway. That type of
Okay.
thing.
We've seen those, yeah.
And furthermore, I just want to say, and I don't plug things normally, but I do feel bad that Been There, Dump That has caught flack here. They're in the position of merely having a landlord who is controversial and disreputable. That's the position that they're in, and that's a position that a lot of us have been in life. A lot of us have had landlords that we didn't like, or that were,
Been there, dumped that, Niagara Falls.
correct, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
I
they're
have to say-
keeping all these dumpsters. The dumpsters outside belong to Been there, dumped that. Then
correct. If you scroll to the right by all those white structures, those are the dumpsters. To the right.
Oh, okay, to the right.
Yeah, scroll, and zoom in. Go to the right. Those are the dumpsters. No, those are limousines. Those are the dumpsters.
Oh, okay. I thought they were inside the hangar. So hey,
They're
we're being
not,
very fair to David Wilcock. Then they're not
yeah,
inside the hangar.
I'm a reasonable guy. I'm not going to criticize without reason. And these are not. And somebody went on Wilcock's stream and said, "Are you just keeping like trash in your hangar or something like that?" And I never said that, but I made the revelation came from me that Been There, Dump That was still leasing, and it just went from there. And I feel bad. And I just want to say, Been There, Dump That. If you look at the reviews, they're very well reputed.
Yeah, nice company, nice family company. Yeah.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a renovation or demolition dumpster, you should consider giving them your business. And that's all I'll say.
All right, we're helping them out. So back to Stevati. We know from the court documents they've never manufactured or produced any airplane products. So do you have any sense of how you stay in business for 30 years? Are they just taking investor money and then failing for 30 years straight? Like, what's the deal? How do you do that? How do you stay in business for 30 years and never turn a profit?
I'll fold that answer into what I was talking about previously, that there's really a tale of two Stevatis. There's the Stevati before Wilcock and the hangar property, and then there's the Stevati with that. The Stevati before that property had no real property, so it was just a corporation. Really,
it was a website. That's what it was.
It was a website. It was some corporate mailing addresses and drop boxes. It was basically just the skeleton of a corporation. All of the people who were associated with Stevati, and this is not a secret, Chris Beskar actually wrote this in a media piece somewhere, I forget off the top of my head, but everyone who's associated with them, even today currently, but especially back before that, the hangar property, they're all working pro bono. Stevati has no payroll and they have no employees. So as to answer your question as to how they survive, they didn't really have much in the way of costs necessarily, because they don't have any real property. And they don't have any employees. And for most businesses, those are the two largest expenses.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if all you have to do is pay for a PO box every year and a website, yeah, anybody can be this. I have known many people that were like the fake CEO of a company. Do you know what I mean? Like people who would introduce themselves to me as, like I met some young guy once, and he handed me a card and introduced himself as the CEO of his company. And I kind of just looked at him and knew that he was a bullshitter. So I asked him how many employees that he had, and he got a shocked look on his face. But yeah, the same kind of person. He had a website and, a PO box, and he's calling himself a CEO, which to me is kind of just stupid,
There's another way of putting it. A Stevati associate described their company as a, quote, pre-revenue company, end quote.
Oh, Pre-rev, we haven't. Yeah, we're a company, but we have no revenue, right?
Yeah. Which actually technically is not true. They do have revenue. It's just completely unrelated to their main industry, and it's very low, relatively speaking.
Yeah, what are they getting? Like a couple $1,000s a month, and that's it? That's their income?
I want to say it's $3,000 to $4,000 a month. I'd have to go back and look at what Beskar put in the filing, or I think what he said in his demand letter, the demand letter response.
Don't you think that if they don't start making some money, they're going to have a problem? Because I could imagine just the real estate taxes alone from a property that size would be thousands, 10,000 a year or something, or 20,000 a year.
So let's talk about the tale of the second Stavati since 2019.
Okay. Yeah,
David Wilcock.
So David Wilcock comes in with a big flush of money for Christopher Beskar in 2019. That started, you think?
Allegedly, yes. I mean, I think it was Macario who reached out to Beskar, and then Beskar responded that David's official, part of the company was in 2019.
Yeah, and Amy Collins is asking, do they have anybody on their board that actually has a degree in aerospace engineering or a pilot's license that you're aware of?
If you go to their leadership section, they do have people that claim to, be flight instructors, airplane mechanics. They do have an individual now named Charles W. Moore, who was I believe a vice admiral in the Navy. They do have people that are associated with the company on their backgrounds, at least at first glance, that have different, skills and experiences within, either military aircraft or civilian aircraft. They do have some of that. But what they've really lacked, or at least until the arrival of Mr. Charles Moore, was anyone who had any experience really in the aerospace manufacturing industry. That's really what they lack.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, how are you going to manufacture airplanes if you don't even have any people working for you that know how to do that effectively, right?
Well, and of course, there's also the chicken.
That's something you could just figure out,
Yeah, there's the chicken and the egg consideration. Do you get people that have that experience if you have no aircraft? Like, can you recruit people that have that experience when you manufacture nothing? Or do you have to start manufacturing in order to attract those people, or do you get those people somehow?
I don't think you need them before you start. That's just me. I mean,
you would think, but I mean, we're 30 years in now, so.
Yeah, I mean, I once worked for a company that was in the food service industry, and they suddenly got a bright idea that they should start making some of their own products. So they brought in consultants and engineers that knew how to set them up. And those guys came in for 3 months, figured out a whole plan. And within 3 months, there was 12 products coming off an assembly line at a new facility. So, I mean, I would think that they would need to do the same kind of thing. Like, how are you manufacturing airplanes if you don't know how to manufacture anything?
Basically, nearly every business on Earth requires some level of capital investment. And Stavati has had a very difficult time not just attracting capital investment, but really even laying the groundwork for it seems to be a struggle for them.
Well, listen, I'm not very financially savvy, John, right? But if somebody asked me to invest in a company, the first thing I would want to see is financials. Does that make sense? Like, you want to see the financials, because that'll tell you like where they're at financially and whether it's a mess or not. And by the way, I'm not a real investor, but I know enough to ask for the financials. So couldn't their problem be that investors here, they've been in business for 30 years and they have no products? Like, that's a major problem. But here in the wacky world of Wilcock, it's not.
Their lack of manufacturing is a problem. And their lack of personnel and payroll is also a problem. Please understand, in order to produce financial statements, you need employees, or at least you need to be able to hire outside accounting to do that for you.
Yeah.
And all of my research and talking to sources inside and with outside the company, adjacent to the company, everything indicates to me that there's no employees, there's no payroll, there is really no financial statements. And I have some more information on that. It'll be in the book, But you know, there are some
Yeah, and by the
specifics.
way, John is writing a book about all of this Stavati smoke and mirrors behind this fake aerospace company. That's my
Yeah,
kind of book. You know, a lot
one
of
one
gotcha moments.
one of my sources told me that Chris Beskar did try to obtain outside accounting to produce audited financial statements for an alleged investment, and it fell apart. It fell apart because, as my source told me, Chris Beskar failed to pay the accountant.
Great. That's your first mistake. You always pay the accountants.
This is per a source I have within the company.
Yeah, Ty Blee is asking, how did they get this far? It's blowing my mind. Who are these investors? It's that CIA, isn't it? And also,
Again,
I want to ask you before we move to we got to get through these Wilcock clips, but before we move to that, you know more about this than I do. So I want to ask you, if allegedly David Wilcock invested $1 million, and then we have this person suing them that invested $1 million. Do you have any idea what they did with $2 million to be so broke that they're not paying their vendors now
again, we don't.
and getting sued by everybody?
To say, do we have any idea? It's better to go back to the Dimitrov filing. When Dimitrov obtained legal counsel, the first step to any lawsuit is to send a demand letter, right? So they sent a demand letter to Chris Beskar. Chris Beskar responded to the demand letter, and that response letter is a filing in the Dimitrov case. This response letter is really of utmost importance to understanding Stavati and how they operate, and answering questions like, what did they spend the money on? Because Chris Beskar answered that question in the response letter.
Oh, you're right.
And
You're
what
right.
did he say they spent the money on? Off the top of my head, I can say they had overdue legal bills from Philip Slidell, their previous attorney who helped them with the Army hangar transaction. So they had some overdue legal bills. They said they spent some of his money on Ukrainian refugees. They spent some of his money on corporate debt, which that could be a number of things. This is what they spent the money on. And it's per Chris Beskar in his response letter. So I'm not making any of this up. It's not speculation.
Yeah, okay.
Chris Beskar wrote it, and it's in the court filing.
And then for those unaware, David Wilcock and Christopher Beskar at this company promised the Niagara local officials that they were going to create, what was it, 400 jobs that were all over $100,000. And in exchange, they would be given some tax breaks and incentives to the tune of millions of dollars, I think. And Spooky is asking, and then they're losing that now. Because they didn't create any jobs. So Spooky is asking, please explain the local government removing the tax breaks.
Well, that's easy to explain. When the agreement went into effect at the beginning of 2021, it had a 3-year time limit, and Stavati ran out the clock. So they lost it, and when they asked for it to be renewed, the NCIDA said no bueno. So that question is easy.
And now David Wilcock is calling those same officials criminals in his public live streams.
Yeah, it begs the question. It begs the question: does David Wilcock have evidence of crimes by them, or has he seen evidence of crimes? That's really the fundamental question there.
Well, it's extremely problematic to be accusing government officials of crimes with no evidence. Basically, he's saying they're trying to take the airplane. He's also said they're trying to take the airplane hangar away from them, which really isn't the case. Can we explain that quickly? So a bunch of creditors, which are people that worked for Stavati on that facility, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of people did hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work. And then Beskar and David Wilcock and Stavati never paid for the work. So all these people started suing them, and then they're seeking like a lien on the property or foreclosure of the property to pay them?
Well, the county and the local government, to my knowledge, don't have any liens. It's just a handful of contractors and vendors which provided service to Stavati, and Stavati never paid their bills. Those are the individuals that have the liens. And as we were discussing previously, one of those contractors, Ferguson Electric, did have a lien, did file a judgment. or file for a judgment. Stavati never obtained counsel, and so Ferguson Electric got a default judgment. But that's
Well,
currently all.
from that, can't we assume that Stavati is completely broke? Like, if you're getting sued and you can't afford an attorney to defend that legal case, it's got to be pretty clear to most people that you don't have any money if you can't hire an attorney to defend your company, right?
I am loath to make assumptions for the purpose of my research and writing. It seems like Stavati doesn't have the money, but we have to discriminate between
Speculation.
Can they pay the bill and are just choosing not to, or are they simply insolvent and can't obtain counsel? And that's really the line that we have to draw and the discrimination that we have to make.
Yeah. So I thought we should get into some of the clips from the recent and talk about this, all this crowd. You called it crowd striked. But before we get to the crowd strike stuff, there was a 5-minute video in which, I have it. Mr. Wilcock is basically claiming to be, I just want to go through this with you and let me know if you want me to stop it. I'm going to chime in during this. So basically, the director of Stavati Aerospace, what is he? He's the director of advanced technology. He's on a public live stream on YouTube, and he's claiming to be, besides being in contact with the Archangel Michael and Earth's greatest prophet, he's claiming to be David from the Bible, an Egyptian priest from the Bible, and also Jesus reincarnated. Essentially, he's claiming to be Edgar Cayce reincarnated, and Edgar Cayce claimed all those things, so he's just folded that in. I don't know. Let's start this.
This is something that's been very hard for me to accept, having this prophecy laid on me, liberator of the world. I've tried to do my best to live up to that. And again, I'm a reincarnated enemy of the deep state from 12,500 years ago. I'm still doing it now.
What?
And it's certainly very contentious. And you know what? A lot of people have ended up treating me really poorly. I've had very bad situations develop. I've had a lot of really abusive things happen. People who seem like they're going to be supportive and turn on me. People can't handle this prophecy. They don't like it. They get mad.
People can't handle, John, that he's the savior of Earth. He's Earth's liberator. And other people get jealous and can't handle it. You know, and when I think about this from a business perspective, and John, I have to be honest with you, I run a very small business, you know, but I think I do a good job with it. I'm pretty decent with business. The fact that some company wants people to invest millions of dollars and their board member and director of advanced technologies on YouTube telling everybody he's the liberator of the world, it's like Looney Tunes time, I would think, to most investors.
Yeah, it is a situation where David Wilcock brings a substantial amount of publicity to the table for Stavati. Obviously,
it's all negative, though. It's not good publicity.
Well, here's the thing: YouTube monetization doesn't care if it's positive or negative. So,
yeah,
you know, money is money to those who require it or desire it.
All right, let's continue this because it gets better. He starts saying he's Jesus.
And they really become jealous and judgmental. And I've had so many betrayals. This is part of the reason why I'm living completely alone. I hardly even talk to anyone. And so we had Eva Rosier just donated. Namaste, sending much love. Thank you. So again, I don't want you to think I get off on this. When I was working on Michael prophecies in 22 and 23, I really wasn't on videos at all. I did just a couple per year. That's about it. Tarotina donated again. Thank you very much. So it's not like I'm enjoying this.
Tarotina.
I don't.
Yeah, Tarotina, for those unaware, is one of David Wilcock's rabid followers who falsely copyright striked my channel. And I don't have proof of it, but I'm allowed to speculate that Wilcock is directing people to strike my channel. That's my personal belief, and I'm entitled to it because I don't know that woman from anywhere, and she just all of a sudden, and he always calls her out by name in his streams, and she all of a sudden just came into my live chat, started threatening my channel in writing, and then she filed a false copyright strike against us, a hard strike. So yeah, let's
I
continue.
don't enjoy the ridicule. I don't enjoy the sarcasm. I don't enjoy the trolling. I don't enjoy being betrayed. I don't enjoy getting ripped off. A lot of people have ripped me off for money, lied to me, deceived me, betrayed me. This is a very common thing. It's not what
Can
you
we
would
pause the
think.
video?
Yeah. I wonder if he's talking about Stavati there.
I'm kind of beside myself because he's saying that almost like he believes it, but it's obvious that I don't think he believes it at all.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah. Let's see. He's going to say he's Jesus soon.
You would think that if this happens, people would be really excited. They would want to help you. Instead, most people end up working against me. They get jealous and they just can't handle it. Because again, nobody else has this. Nobody else has this kind of lineage with the Great Pyramid. He worked with Jesus. He was there writing the book of Luke in the Bible. He was King David. That's the king of the Jews. He's like the main hero figure.
And he's talking about Edgar Casey here, who made all those claims. And then he just says, I'm Edgar Casey reincarnated. Therefore, I was also all these other famous people throughout history reincarnated. It's bizarre. It's like, oh, a wackadoo said that he led all these past lives and did all these things. So I'll just say that I'm that wackadoo reincarnated.
Yeah, one of the benefits of my research on Stavati is that I've been able to, I haven't had to pay too much attention to the other aspects of some of the things that David Wilcock says.
He says some wacky stuff, yeah.
I'll let someone else write the book on David Wilcock as Edgar Casey.
That they created the David bloodline off of, and he wasn't somebody, he killed Goliath with a slingshot, right? He wasn't somebody who already had royal blood, but they liked him so much that they decided that his blood was royal. Then you also have the fact that I'm the reincarnation of Casey, who did something nobody else has done. There's no other psychic source that compares to Casey. 14,000 medical readings, another 10,000 lost in a fire in Ohio in the 1920s, tragically. 1927, I think, is when it was. And he had this Archangel Michael thing where he was levitating. He had supernatural abilities, and he was speaking in this booming voice.
Now Wilcock says he's going to get those powers soon.
As far as I know, that's never happened to me now, but it appears that there's some very spring-loaded DNA in me, and hopefully other people will have it as well, and that I will gain those abilities again once we go through this.
He's going to get his superpowers any minute, John. Once we get through the ascension.
I briefed on the plan in 2009. I've been talking about it, about we need to support the military. We need to support them doing this. But there's very, very supernatural aspects to this that I didn't know about until, again, late 2021. Right as my divorce was happening, I began finding these prophetic passages and realized,
it's just a coincidence, John, that right after his wife left, he found out that he was the savior of the world, and that the Archangel Michael gave him all these prophetic readings in 1998. And it's just bizarre.
I mean, in all fairness, to be fair, some men take their divorces worse than that, to be fair.
I know. I've known a few. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see.
It wasn't really until 2022, once my divorce had happened and I'm here in the house alone, that I began unsealing all this stuff. And I spent the whole year 2022 just working quietly and alone, recovering from, it was very hard for me to go through divorce. Obviously, it's not a fun thing. And I was taking great risks with my life. And I think anybody, I don't blame my ex-wife at all, Elizabeth, anybody.
Oh, good to know he doesn't blame his ex-wife. And here, John, he uses a plot device that all these grifters use, in my opinion. They pretend that people are trying to kill them. And he's about to say that somebody tried to kill his wife. But in a previous time, he said that he was driving the car when the brakes went out. Now he's changed it to his wife.
Who have been living with me would have been very, very afraid and upset, especially because I had gotten death threats for doing cosmic disclosure on Gaia.
He got death threats, John, for doing a TV show about fake science fiction Buck Rogers fantasies that somebody made up. Who would threaten somebody with death over that? Right? Like, some of this stuff is so stupid and childish and ridiculous.
Yeah, I think
we now know that Corey Good just made all those stories up on Cosmic Disclosure. And
Yeah, I
he's
think
saying that people were threatening his life over that. Come on.
a lot of that stuff was entrails of his fallout with Gaia. I mean, it must have been.
And I ignored them.
Yeah.
And just like a few days after I ignored the threats and decided I'm going to keep doing the show and made public statements to that effect, she lost the brakes driving my car while driving down the mountain in Los Angeles. We lived on the top of the mountain up in the Santa Monica Mountains in Topanga, 2,500 foot altitude. Thankfully, the brakes didn't go out until she was right near the bottom, but she was pushing the pedal to the floor and had absolutely nothing.
And you know what's interesting about this, John, and I've always said this, if somebody tries to kill your wife, wouldn't you go to the police and make a police report if you truly believe that somebody was trying to hurt you or your wife?
You would think, but
and I'm crazy enough that I checked. There's no police report from Wilcock about any of this.
I mean, how do we know? How do we know this isn't just exaggeration? I mean, it could have been that someone was driving too fast down a dirt road and had to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, it could be anything. I mean, I one time had this van, this old van, and the master cylinder went out. So I lost my brakes right as I was trying to get on a bridge going over to New Jersey. So that could have been a big, major problem. But it was just, old car, master cylinder went out. It could be anything that the brakes go out, master cylinder blew up or whatever. But Wilcock is such an opportunist that he turns anything like that into a reason to grift off his followers.
Here's the biggest problem.
I'm trying to kill my wife because I'm telling Buck Rogers time travel adventure stories on Gaia TV with a fake secret space guy. It's so stupid.
Here's the biggest problem with his story. He's implying that after this happened, her brakes magically started working again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not terribly normal unless you have like drum brakes or something.
And I mean, maybe he just doesn't like his wife that much or something. But I know I'm a married man. If I truly believe that somebody was, tampering with my vehicles, trying to hurt my wife, I'd go to the police right away. And he didn't do that.
I think because this statement he makes does still come from like that whole time when he was kind of at a fallout with Gaia. I think all of these things he says kind of have to be taken in that context of he was falling out with Gaia.
Yeah, you're right.
Just a few days after. And so I published that. I published the evidence. I had receipts of the work that I did to get my brakes done. There was a numerical synchronicity in the price. And then the Dark Alliance trolls, as we were calling them at the time, they laughed at me. They joked about it. They thought it was funny. I can't imagine how threatened she felt that I'm going to keep going, but then somebody's going to kill her, not me.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this whole plot device, John, is my information is so important that people are trying to kill me over it. Yet he's never predicted anything correctly once. So why would anybody? None of this makes sense. Why would people try to kill him when he's teaching like the pyramid inch fake theory on YouTube, or teaching, talking about crop circles? We got to kill that guy. He's talking about crop circles on YouTube, or kill his wife. It's so childish and stupid. But then right from this, he goes in to buy my book. These are all the reasons you should buy my book. The information in it is so important that people are trying to kill me over it. Buy my book.
And I would be very brave in these videos. I'd go live. I'd do all this stuff. So yeah, I can imagine that the feeling of threat that she had was all encompassing. And so, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. It was only after we had this separation, divorce, which was as amiable as possible under the circumstances, that I began to unseal Michael prophecies. So the whole year 2022, I was just by myself. And again, you can get these books at thedisclosure.com.
So there he goes. It's all just a pitch to sell his books, John. My information is so important that people are trying to kill me over it, right?
Yeah, I have no proof that anyone has, and I've seen no proof that anyone has tried to kill David Wilcock.
Yeah, but we do have proof that several times that he claimed some of his close associates were under deep state attack, that was a complete and total fabrication and a complete and total lie. So remember that. David said yesterday that I'm 10 years in the Dark Alliance. And, I went back into our Dark Alliance archives and I couldn't find any evidence of any assassination attempt on him. So, yeah, that's pretty great. So, do you want to let's go through and explain? I'm on your Twitter. I'm trying to find. I don't know if you posted a video, but I see one here is a still.
Yeah, we really should get to that point in that video of that CrowdStrike event. We really should get to that like the exact moment.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 hours and 13 minutes in.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get to that then. I was gonna. You posted this about forgot to do the redactions, but
yeah, we'll get to that. That is really unconscionable.
We'll go over the crowd strikes. You had the timestamp. You said it was 2 hours and 13 minutes in.
Roughly, yeah.
All right, we'll go to 2:12 or something like that. Okay. Okay, I got it queued up. Well, this is fair use. This is transformative work. We're educating the public. This is David Wilcock on YouTube, crowd striking people. Gotta love it.
In which Ezra is talking in very childish ways and very, very hateful.
Oh, and by the way, he also claimed that the screenshots of between Ezra and Macario were faked. I've confirmed that they're real, and the video is real. He keeps telling his followers that somebody faked those screenshots when Ezra called him, the Qtard poster Ezra called him insane. So
yeah, that's his only argument. The only argument that he has against these genuine screenshots is, oh, they're fake.
Yeah,
that's the only argument.
Piss poor argument.
But he's made multiple posts about that. He uses childish little acronyms like TBH for to be honest. He doesn't ever speak like that in his posts. And again, as I said, why would he want to hand out his assassination pistol? Why would the Alliance, who is the military, right?
And when he says Alliance, he means a fictional organization invented by his con artist friend Pete Peterson.
If you go to the recruitment office and you say, I want to join the Navy, I want to join the Army, I want to join the Marines, I want to join Space Force, they're not going to give you the finger and say, get the F out of here. If they're putting this material out and it's getting millions of views, they want you to know about it. I have a very
pause the video.
5,000.
Sure.
So actually, David Wilcock is 51 years old. So if he showed up at those recruiting offices, they probably would tell him to get the hell out of here.
Yes, they would. But I love how he pretends that he's like a member of the military or the. It's so stupid.
People watching right now, and I'm loved by almost everyone except for way below 1% haters. Very, very few of them. And indeed, it's basically this one guy who keeps doing all this stuff. So,
and by the way, so just for the benefit of the audience, so David Wilcock is now going to launch into a tirade and talk about all of the criminal stuff that our guest tonight has done to him. But while we go through it, like he's showing screenshots of like emails and stuff where John is asking questions. There's no crime here. There's no attacks here. Yeah,
it's very easy for him to fake these conversations. The voice that he chooses Ezra to be is incredibly childish, speaks in childish acronyms, and is incredibly hateful. And I don't think they would dare to ever be this hateful because, again, everybody would gang up on him. So, yes, he can create something in which he makes a fake chat. And
again, he's claiming that the screenshots where Ezra doesn't know who he is or were fake.
Looks like it's Ezra, and then
we should take a moment just to reflect how far we've come here. He's literally spending like the second or the third hour of his live stream, on it in its full attack mode.
Yeah, absolutely, full attack mode. Well, let's get to the part where he starts busting your balls because I think it was so. I'm sorry, it was pretty funny.
Photoshop's in the real Ezra. You can edit video. You can edit over you got the fake name there, and then you post the Ezra handle on the top.
The screenshots show no sign of Photoshop.
This is something he's probably being paid to do. I don't think this person. He's been doing it for 10 years. He's unrelentingly attacking us. Okay.
Pause the video. I have not just for the record. I have not been doing this for 10 years. What David Wilcock said, if he's saying it about me, is untrue and it's false and defamatory.
Yeah, and he also conflated you with several other individuals because it wasn't you that got the screenshots of Ezra.
Well,
it was another individual.
One of the best parts of this live stream is that David Wilcock appears to be drinking something, and I think it's alcohol. It doesn't show it right here, but at the beginning of the stream, he seems to be imbibing pretty joyously.
Oh, interesting.
So when you see what's going on here, it's a fake video. We know who he is. And after I called him...
And by the way, the person who released the screenshots is not our guest tonight, John Christian Spadevacchia. So he's even wrong about who released the screenshots. He's claiming it's you.
About a week and a half ago, he became far more aggressive. I said, dude, this is your last chance. We know what your name is. We know where you live. We don't want to have to come after you, but you're making it impossible because you are so aggressive. You're threatening everyone in Stavati. Every time that we have anything come out, he goes after them. Okay, and I'm going to show you some of that now with all anonymity preserved.
Did you ever threaten anybody, John? Just to put it on the record?
At no point in any of my interactions, whether it be voice, text, or written interactions, have I ever threatened anyone at any of my contacts within, without, or adjacent to Stavati. I have not threatened anyone. That accusation is false and defamatory.
It's defamatory. That's actionable. Because basically he's slandering you on a public live stream to thousands of people.
I will say I have one source that I talked to last year. I called them at 8 p.m. and we spoke on the phone until 2 a.m. in the morning, 6 hours. If I was threatening people, why would they talk on the phone with me for 6 hours until 2 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, good.
Every single time I make a post, there's at least 2 new troll accounts instantly within 10 minutes. I don't even know how people are watching it that
And Osiris is here that says those troll accounts are mine.
That say, here's video proof that Ezra hates David. And it's all these different names. So I'm going to show you some of them. But first, I want to go back in time and give you an example of how he attacked Stavati on January 2nd. This is only some of the most recent stuff.
He's talking about John here.
All right, so let's pause the video.
Email from Chris.
So let's talk about what we're looking here. Let's look very closely. First of all, this is a not an email that I wrote. It is an email that Chris Beskar wrote internally in Stavati after he received a copy of my email forwarded to him from the third party Del Morgan. And we can see here that there's
which by the way contained no threats, just questions, right? You were asking questions.
That's on the next screenshot. We'll see a very small portion of the email that Del Morgan gave to Stavati. And just looking at this screen, though, you can see a lot of redactions here. They redact email addresses, domain names. They basically just take out some rather sterile information. But look, they exposed the name of the third party at the top of this email.
Yeah.
So now, I'm getting all these questions, seeing all these rumors about, like, is Del Morgan going to give David Wilcock his money today? I have seen no indication of that, and my source within Del Morgan informed me that Stavati has only ever gotten lukewarm interest. They've never gotten serious interest from any creditors.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Well, let's continue with this and find out what other nefarious things you've been up to, Mr. Spadevacchia.
Beskar, and I'm not going to give you his email address or mine.
Oh, and one more thing.
And so
notice that the date on this email is January 2nd, okay? I sent the email to Del Morgan on December 28th. Within the next 4 or 5 days, it gets forwarded to Stavati, and Stavati sat on it for almost 6 months now before deciding to do this CrowdStrike.
Yeah, that says something. So I guess they didn't feel threatened then, but they feel threatened now because you continue to ask questions.
I guess they felt that this was the opportunity, or that they needed to do it.
And by the way, I just want to put on the record that in my interactions with John, like, he's extremely professional and writes emails like a journalist, and asking questions is not an attack, but Wilcock is framing it as that because you ask questions. So we'll continue here.
It says here, Dear David and blank, this is Chris writing to me and to another member of our board. I just checked email this morning and received the below email, which is incredibly threatening, from John Christian Spadevacchia. And we'll see what that is in just a second. But here he is. It's basically Spud and Veggies. It's a phallic reference, okay?
Pause the video. Pause the video.
Yes, hold on 1 second. Yes. Is that your real name? That is your real legal name, right?
I will only say this. This name has David
Wilcock is he's basically telling his followers that you're using a fake name that means cock.
He is about to say that I hate Christians. I do not hate Christians. That accusation is untrue and it is false and defamatory.
Wow.
He calls me spud and veggies. What else does he say? Basically, I'm not even going to dignify this stuff with a response because it's so childish and puerile.
Yeah, this is something else. Let's see what else he has to say.
This is an example. Spadevacchia against Spud and Veggies. And it says Christian, he loves to attack Christians. This is, again, the worst bully I've ever had in my entire life. He flagrantly dramatic.
I'm highly doubtful that I am the worst bully he's ever had, considering all of his stories regarding the Draco.
Yeah, and he wrote a whole book where it was mostly about being bullied in high school. So this is something else, though. He basically says you're using the middle name Christian because you attack Christians. Have you ever attacked Christians? I'm a Christian.
That is negative. I have never attacked Christians, and like I said, that statement by him is false and defamatory.
Oh, you know what? We should have had a counter, John, to count how many times he lies in this 10 minutes. He's just lying through his teeth to his followers about all of this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what else he has to say.
Threatens our company. Says he's an investigative journalist. He's making a video. He's making a movie. He's writing a book.
Stop the movie. Stop it. Stop the video. So I have never at any point told anyone inside Stavati, outside Stavati, adjacent, and any of my communications that I'm making a movie. I'm not a movie maker. This statement by David Wilcock is false and defamatory unless he wants to help me make the Stavati movie, in which case I'll be nice and let him keep most of the profits.
He might need the money more than you. Yeah.
He gives us these scalding accusations. He tells us we're about to be sued. He threatens us. He says, you need to answer these charges.
Stop the video.
Do you ever do any of that? Do you ever say any of that stuff?
I have never said that they're about to be sued. In all of my communications with Stavati associates, folks inside, outside the company, adjacent, and all my communications, I have never said that I'm making a movie. Of course, I just address that. I've never threatened any of these people. I've never made any threats. That's false and defamatory. It's all false and defamatory.
Wow. There's another one, false and defamatory.
David is a liar. David is a con artist. David is a cheat, on and on and on.
One more thing. I've never said they're going to get sued. I have only ever brought up their, in fact, existing lawsuits.
Yeah. So basically, just so my audience is clear, like you found the court documents and then you went to Stavati and you asked them for comment on the ongoing court cases. Is that a correct characterization of what happened between
more
you and Stavati?
More or less, yeah, that's correct.
So David Wilcock is framing that you're attacking him relentlessly because you're asking for an on-the-record comment from the company.
To be fair, David said something like I'm tenacious and I'm aggressive. And I accept those labels. I do aggressive due diligence. My demeanor is tenacious. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's not illegal.
As long as you're respectful, sure.
Responding to blank later today, this is the board member, but my general thought is that we are being harassed by John. If he does publish anything negative regarding Stavati, we should file a lawsuit for defamation. John, quote unquote, is absolutely insane. Now back to work on the pitch deck for, and this is the name of one of our investors. So again, notice the time, January 2nd, Christian Spadevacchia, Spud and Veggies. So this is the very end of this threatening email that he sent us. And you can see.
Yeah, and by the way, my audience, we could read this. He says this is a threatening email. I'm going to read it. I understand and anticipate that blank response to this email will probably be to refuse any questions or inquiry under the auspices of an ongoing legal case. As a matter of fact, blank is not a named party in blank, so I see no jurisprudent reason why blank cannot comment or opine on this matter since they do not seem to be the subject of any judgments in the case in any way. I am most interested in the facts of the matter, and I encourage blank to be responsive to my inquiries. Without a response, the facts as I currently have them will be all I have for my research and writing. Please do not hesitate to contact me. I can be reached by replying to this email or by telephone. So I want to ask my audience, is anything in this email threatening? He's basically saying this third party that he's emailing, he's basically saying, You guys might not want to comment, but if you don't comment, all I'll have is the current information I have to go with, which is a very common thing in journalism. I do that. When I write an email asking for on-the-record comments, I always end it the same way John ended it here, by basically telling them, if you do not respond, I will have to go with what information I have already gathered. And I always say something like, I would sincerely appreciate your input to make my work more factual or accurate or something like that, which is exactly what John did here. So to my audience, is this a threat? Is John threatening anybody here? Like, even what he's sharing proves that he's lying here. There's no threat, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, this just shows that this whole crowd strike by Wilcock, he shot his shot and he missed.
Yeah, well, let's continue and see what other evil deeds you've been up to, Mr. Spadevacchia.
He goes all out. I understand and anticipate that Blank's response to my email will probably be to refuse any of my questions or inquiries under the auspices of an ongoing legal case. As a matter of fact, Blank is not a named party in Blank, so I see no jurisprudent reason. See, he's trying to talk fancy, sound like he's a lawyer. He's really not.
Pause the video.
Yeah, did you ever tell anybody you were a lawyer?
So David Wilcock, what he's basically admitting here is he is jealous of my writing style. That's really what he's saying.
That's what it is.
Oh, he thinks he's a lawyer. He's not. David Wilcock internally is thinking, this guy, he has some pretty good writing.
That's basically it, yeah.
Why Blank cannot comment or opine on this matter, since they do not seem to be subject to any judgments in the case anyway. I am most interested in the facts of the matter. I encourage Blank to be responsive to my inquiries. Without a response, the facts as I currently have them will be all I have for my research and writing. Please do not hesitate to contact me. I can be reached by replying to this email or by telephone at blank, John Christian Spadevacchia. So again, Christian Spadevacchia is Spud and Veggies.
Does your name mean Spud and Veggies, John?
No. In a few minutes into the video, David Wilcock will read comments from his audience. And one of his commenters will tell him correctly that Spadevacchia in Italian means old sword. So David Wilcock is about to get schooled by one of his audience members.
That's great.
And this is just one example where he writes us this crazy stuff. None of it is true. He's poking in. He says he's an investor.
You're asking for somebody to comment on a lawsuit against Stevati Aerospace, just to be clear, right? And he's saying none of this is true. You're just asking for a comment about an ongoing legal case against
Stephen
Wilcock's company.
The truth is, this email that he just showed, they only showed the very bottom last part. There's a giant entire email above that they didn't show their audience,
so it's
and we can
editing.
figure out why.
Yeah, selective editing.
Investigative journalist, and he's being a total attacker. He threatens people. He threatens their families.
Stop the video.
You never threaten anybody.
David Wilcock's statement that I've threatened people and threatened families is untrue. I have never done it. His statement is false and defamatory, and I would sue him. But the house he lives in, he doesn't own. It's owned by Vested Funding, LLC. He's got $1.4 million in tax debt. Suing David Wilcock is an exercise in futility.
Mm-hmm. But just to be clear, like, you know, it's very dangerous. He's basically saying that a journalist is threatening people and threatening their families, which is completely and totally false. And I agree with you. It's actionable and defamatory. You could sue him for slander for that, and he'd have to prove that you threatened somebody and their family, and he can't because you didn't do that. But you're right.
Correct.
He's so deep in a hole that suing him would be completely pointless, because even if you won a judgment, you'd never get your money. You'd never get any money. You know? Wow. Just incredible.
Out there, this guy is all over it. He terrifies them. We've had people almost crying on our board meetings about this.
God, did you make people on the Stevati board cry?
First of all, let me address this. I have no way of really knowing if I've made anyone at Stevati cry or almost cry. I will say, as I said previously, I talked to one of my sources for 6 hours. I talked to Brian Colvin's daughter. We had a nice, cordial conversation. We discussed very briefly the Dimitrov case. All of my sources, we have a good relationship, and I still have a window of dialogue open with them. I've never made any threats. And David Wilcock, I mean, I don't know. I'm almost. I'm beside myself. I'm really beside myself here.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Wow. Let's continue.
A couple people actually talked to him on the phone. He probably recorded those calls, and he just never stops. It's incredible.
By the way, really, it's not illegal to record calls, and he's kind of implying that you did something illegal there. You, John, being a journalist, are aware of what a one-party and a two-party consent state. Have you ever illegally recorded a phone call? Let's just get that on the record.
I do not reveal my sources and methods. That being said, I've never illegally recorded a phone call.
There you go. Another lie. We should have kept the counter, John. It's just lie city through this whole section.
This guy is doing. So here's another example. He actually wrote this threat to one of our own attorneys. He actually threatened an attorney and said this: "Hi, blank, you don't know me." This was on LinkedIn. "My name is John Christian Spadevacchia. I've been researching and writing a book, sometimes it's a video, sometimes a movie, on Stevati Aerospace, a 30-year-old company with a checkered history. You have been named as a piece of their operation." And then he starts digging into this legal stuff that's been going on. Specifically, you've been named as the attorney who recommended to Stevati.
Again, I want to ask my audience, is this email threatening? Is this email that John sent threatening? And, you know, this whole thing is so ridiculous because you're sending people stuff in writing in your own name. And I know John enough to know he's a fairly intelligent person. Like, you don't threaten somebody in writing with your own name. If you really do want to threaten somebody, it's so stupid. But to my audience, this is what David Wilcock is saying is a threat and an attack on him. What we're seeing here is evidence of a journalist doing a good and thorough job investigating his story. That's my take on it, John.
And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, well, let's let Wilcock continue to try to spin it.
Stevati, practice of law as a result of your alleged referral to Stevati. As I am writing a book on Stevati, I'm interested in your confirmation of the allegations and whether or not they are factual. Please do not hesitate to contact me. Spadevacchia. So again, what he does is he threatens people. He tries to get them scared, and he says, "You need to call me."
Stop the video. At no point in any of my communications with anybody outside, adjacent to the company, voice, text, email, electronic communications, have I ever I've never threatened anyone, and people always talk to me on their own accord and consent, and that's all I'll say. David Wilcock's statement is.
We saw what you wrote, and there was no threats in that. That you were encouraging them to help you fact check. That's it. That's a journalist job. You're doing a journalist job here.
You know what I think?
Wilcock is taking this as an attack and an affront, and this is how fragile his ego is.
I think this is
the company's getting sued by an investor that called them a Ponzi scheme and an investment scam. They're getting sued by all their creditors, and he's like shocked and amazed that anybody would ask somebody to comment on that.
I think that David's strategy here is to try and trigger his audience with my writing style. I think that's his whole strategy.
Maybe.
And then he's going to record it. And again, he does his videos. He makes these hate videos.
Did you ever make a hate video? I haven't seen any videos from you, John.
I have, to my knowledge, never made a hate video. That statement by Wilcock is false and defamatory.
Wow. This is the theme tonight, friends. False and defamatory.
And that's all it's really about. And he's been doing this for 10 years, member of the Dark Alliance.
Stop the video. Stop the video.
You're a member of the Dark Alliance, and you've been doing this.
He saved
another lie. You haven't only done this for a year.
He saved the worst defamation for last. He said, I've been doing this for 10 years. That's not true. I have only been doing this for about a year, maybe a little over a year. So that statement is false and defamatory. And this Dark Alliance label that he's put on me, does he not realize that Corey Good did the same thing to other people and had to pin apologies to his account because he was going to be guilty of defamation? David Wilcock, you didn't use your brain here, buddy.
Yeah, that part's obvious.
So, I'm not going to give any.
It goes without saying, I'm not in the Dark Alliance. That statement is false and defamatory.
If I gave out any of his email addresses, then some of you guys would go and attack him, and then he'd be like, "Oh my God, I got attacked! I got hurt."
Stop the video. Wilcock is intimating here that in the future he's going to start doxing.
Yeah,
that's really what he's doing.
Seems to be implying.
So we're not going to give out the email address So he can relax on that front. But yes, when we file a lawsuit, you're going to learn his real name. That might be very soon. As soon as we get money, we're going to start doing this. But he needs to know right now that we've got plenty of evidence to put him in jail for a long time, potentially years.
Stop.
John.
Stop. So even if Stavati did sue somebody and they won, that doesn't put you in jail. So David Wilcock is not of sound mind here. He's completely incoherent.
Yeah, completely. He's saying he's going to get you put in prison, John, for sending some emails asking questions. That's a crime to David Wilcock.
And he just committed new crimes. He actually, like, keep going, dude. You know, keep on doing stuff, because the more you do, the more we can come back.
Stop the video.
So the day after.
Okay.
So I guess I can comment on what he just said here. He said, I did a new crime. Stephen, our dialogue before the show on Bill McEwen is what he's referring to.
Okay. And for those unaware, Bill McEwen is the famous person behind what I just call the Amiga Corps conspiracy. Look that up. Bill McEwen was involved with buying the rights to the Amiga intellectual property after Commodore went bankrupt, and there was all kinds of shell games and lawsuits and, let's just say, shady business dealings that Bill McEwen was involved in. And since Bill McEwen is also involved in Stavati, John reached out to him and asked some questions. Is that an accurate assessment of what took place?
That is an accurate assessment. And actually, when I just most recently reached out to him, it was a recontact, because I had discovered that he had switched associations to a different corporation in March 2024 of this year. And the corporation that he joined, Birkin Holdings, is in fact an inactive, dead zombie corporation.
Nice. Let's see what else Wilcock
warned him about a
blamed you
lawsuit.
for.
He wrote this. So again, I named him. I gave his first name. I said what country he lives in, which is Canada. And the very next day, he wrote us this weird, crazy, threatening letter.
Now, again, this is a problem, John, because he's saying that you wrote this when this is from another individual. Is that accurate?
That is correct. I believe what he's about to show on the screen. I have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Yeah, and just so my audience is clear, what Wilcock is doing, in my opinion, is he's creating a boogeyman for his audience that is a compilation of John Christian Spadevacchia and several other individuals. It's not one, and he's claiming that you did all this, John. So that's false and defamatory too, because you didn't know anything about some of this stuff. It's not you sending some of these emails, and he's sharing them saying that you did all this, John.
It's almost like he's making this collage of accusations that he's just throwing against the wall, hoping that something will stick, and blaming it on like 3 accounts, saying it's one person. It's bizarre.
It is bizarre.
So this was his response. Urgent inquiry regarding comments made by David Wilcock and potential legal action. Yes, please get a lawyer. Please get a lawyer, Mr. Canada. We would
go
love
back
it
to
if
that
you would
screen,
actually
please.
Get a lawyer instead of pretending that you're
okay.
Go back to that. I want to see the date. I think it was June. What he just had on screen. Yeah, so that's June. So this is relatively recent. This is 10 days ago. I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, but he's saying that you did it, that you sent this.
Well, I mean, he said a lot of things tonight that are not true, unfortunately.
This is going to be very important. There's a code in there. Maybe you can figure it out right away. PED and then drop the R. And then does he want to mend something for these types of people? Well, we'll see that in a second.
And now he's calling you or whoever sent this email the P word.
Yeah, I have no knowledge of this. I've never seen this email before in my life.
Great.
What's going on?
So here's Wilcock lying to his followers.
Because again, who am I going after the most? These types of folks, right? This type of stuff.
Well, hold on.
To mend that.
Hold on. Pause the video. Pause the video. Is David Wilcock saying that I'm a pizza pedophile here? Because if he is, that statement is false and defamatory.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And it is I told somebody else this recently. It is the last-ditch desperate effort of a grifter when they're caught by somebody to call that person that caught them a P word. It's happened to me, when we revealed somebody was scamming people. They suddenly said, oh, he may have P friends and that may make him a P, And that is just a despicable, disgusting thing to do with absolutely no evidence of that. especially if somebody's like a family man with a wife and children or whatever, or whoever, you know.
It's one thing to think it. It's another thing to wave a pizza card and screen and say, "Oh, these are the people we're dealing with." That is,
Yeah,
he doesn't
that's
have any evidence
implying
for
that
that.
you or whoever sent this email is the P word.
Those people. He uses very obvious code names. We're not being fooled here. Sunday. This is the day that I said, made the threat online. Said, look, you have to cease and desist. The attorney told you to cease and desist. If you don't, we're going to have to come after you. That attorney is going to be involved in it. Okay. Dear Mr. Beskar, I am writing to bring to your attention some concerning statements made by your Director of Advanced Technology. Mr. Wilcock claims it's true during a recent board meeting at Stavadia Aerospace. He made allegations. There's no allegations. It's true. Individuals are accusing him of using Stavadia Aerospace as a platform to scam money from his followers. Yes, it's you, buddy. We know who you are. You put your name in the darn letters. I mean, he actually names himself. He's not
pause the
very
video.
intelligent because he's named.
I actually do not think David Wilcock knows who this is, but he claims he does.
He claims he knows who this is. But he's also at the same time kind of sideways claiming it's all you, using a bunch of different names.
It's all my fault. You know, he can just lay it all at my feet. He gave me a wonderful quote from my ex, so I'm not feeling so bad.
Himself and his show in the letter. He gave his name in the letter that he threatened a major financial firm who have major attorneys. It's crazy what's going on. It's freaking crazy, you guys. Just try to understand and give me a little empathy.
Pause the video. Yes, a major financial firm with major attorneys that make their legal threats through David Wilcock.
Yeah, $1 billion company, $1 billion financial company. But they need David Wilcock to go on YouTube and threaten people who are sending them emails asking questions. Like, of course, none of this makes any sense, right? So stupid.
This was happening to you. It's crazy. The worst bully I've ever had. Furthermore,
Stop. So yeah, this is further proof that he thinks it's all one person, because earlier he said I was the worst bully, but now he's saying that this communication is the worst bully he's ever had. It seems to me like every new email that David Wilcock sees is the worst bully of his life.
It is just bizarro land.
He threatened legal action against those who question him or the integrity of Stavadia Aerospace. That's not true. This is way beyond questioning. This is stalking. It's called tortious interference with business practices. It's called intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's called gang stalking. It's called harassment, criminal impersonation, because the next day he's going to fake being an attorney and threaten me with a fake lawsuit that isn't real. This is unbelievable.
Pause the video.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous. So he's accusing you, John, of torturous interference, intentional infliction of emotional harm. And we've seen what you actually emailed, not this one. Nobody knows who this is from, but asking questions is not torturous interference, John. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that much. Asking questions is not intentional infliction of emotional harm. And if somebody asking questions is interfering with your business or inflicting emotional harm on you because they ask questions about lawsuits against your company, maybe you should change your business practices, not sue people, because that's not really actionable to me. But I'm not a lawyer.
In addition, anything that you say, if it's substantially true, in most legal courts, the truth is an absolute defense against something like tortious interference.
Yeah. I mean, but the fact that you're just asking questions and he's making all these accusations that it's this or it's that, it's
correct.
It's a bizarro world.
There's nothing wrong with asking questions.
Blah. And then
here, look, remember that he's telling his followers this is all one person. And then he's using the P word and labeling people that.
The name that he chose, Pedro Mend, it's got a code that's right on the nose. You don't even have to look very hard to find it. So yeah, dude, we know what you're saying. We know that you're putting these.
One of the things that struck me when he did this is I came from the mean streets of Philadelphia, John. I grew up in a rough area. And the fact that this weaselly, 98-pound dude is on the internet calling people the P word, it made me think, say that to my face and watch what would happen to you. Not that I would do anything, but, that was my thought process. Would this weaselly little dude have the balls to walk right up to John and call him the P word to his face, or anybody, You know, where I come from, where I grew up, that would get your teeth knocked out if you
Well,
did that. It
I
could.
was
It
I
could
was
happen.
born I was born in Philly too, and this guy, like Wilcock is saying here, that the first name Pedro, if you just remove the R, that's somehow some kind of code that means he's a pedo. Like Pedro was a real name,
Yeah,
and you
let's
just
try
remove
to
the R.
let's just say P word from here on in
Well,
because
this
YouTube
is
hates that word.
this is low hanging fruit right here.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Code words in your emails. You're not as smart as you think you are. Okay, this is ridiculous. Additionally, now look at this. Look at what he does now. It's so funny. Mr. Wilcock has made highly inflammatory and defamatory remarks regarding executives at reputable companies such as GE and Disney.
And by the way, just to be clear, basically, David Wilcock said that people at the companies GE and Disney, like, trafficked him. I got to be careful with that, too.
Accusing them of heinous crimes involving trafficking and abuse. Well, I didn't name anybody, and the statute of limitations is long gone. The letter that I showed you was from 1984. That's 40 years ago. Nobody was named. There's nothing that nobody's come after me, you know, and so he's defending these people. Isn't that interesting? These baseless allegations not only damage the reputation of these organizations, but also raise serious legal concerns. Well, if they want to come after me, they can, but you can't have a third party like this guy sue me on behalf of some organization. That's not how lawsuits work. It doesn't work that way.
Wilcock's a legal expert.
Please get an attorney, dude. Just please get a real attorney and stop pretending, okay?
Pause the video. It sounds like instead of them doing the work to identify people and serve lawsuits, it almost sounds like they want us to hire a lawyer so that our lawyer will engage them and then they can serve us a lawsuit or something. He's making no sense. Why would anybody get a lawyer if they haven't been served a lawsuit? Come on. This is nonsense.
Yeah, you don't get an attorney before you know that you need one. The attorneys are expensive, you know? Oh, let's continue. This is just a cavalcade.
Board meetings in response to Mr. Wilcock's actions, it may be necessary to seek legal advice. Yes, you're going to get a summons and you're going to have to get an attorney, okay? To address the potential implications and risks associated with his behavior, it is important to note that Mr. Wilcock claims to be utilizing Stavati lawyers. Yes, we are. In his endeavors, further complicating the situation. No, it just means that you're in trouble.
And how could he be using Stavati lawyers if when Stavati is sued, they can't afford to hire a lawyer or they don't hire a lawyer?
Well, the issue of Stavati lawyers and legal counsel is an interesting one. If you'll remember in the Dimitrov case, when Stavati was first sued, their board allegedly voted to have another member of one of the Stavati corporate boards, Abdulhamid Mao, represent them. And they voted him to do so. Unfortunately, Mr. Abdulhamid Mao is a licensed Canadian attorney, and he cannot practice law in the United States. So, in my opinion,
they hired a fake attorney to defend one of their lawsuits. Just so everybody's clear, they hired a fake attorney to defend them in a lawsuit.
He's not a fake attorney. He's just not an American attorney. And they tried to have him go, and Abdulhamid Mao contacted Dimitrov's counsel, tried to work something out. When their counsel found out he wasn't licensed to practice law, they basically told him to go pound sand. And the fact that Stavati's board would even try to have a Canadian lawyer go and do this, there's no jurisprudence here. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it might be gross negligence.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's continue here. I want to take a moment to thank everybody for the super chats. We don't want to interrupt the conversation, so I will read them all at the end. I promise you all.
As a responsible company, it is crucial to address these matters promptly and decisively, which I'm doing. Thank you, John Christian Spadevacchia. Thank you, Pedro Mend. I urge you to consider the legal implications of Mr. Wilcock's actions. We definitely have, and take appropriate actions to mitigate any potential harm. Yeah, that's called you're the harm, and we're going to mitigate your harm. Please get an attorney. Respond to us with a real attorney who we can talk to.
Pause the video.
Okay, one second.
You got to get your client under control.
He's saying he's going to mitigate harm, and then in the next breath, he's saying that they're coming after us. I'm confused.
I'm confused as well. It's confusing here.
Right now, he needs to stop this right now. But it goes on. Okay. He says, thank you for your attention to this urgent matter. Your prompt response is highly appreciated. Sincerely, Peter Mendoza. This is another name he's used repeatedly. And oh, look at that. Peter Mendoza.
Again, calling somebody the P word. And again, just to be clear, he's saying that this is all you, John. So multiple times during this live stream, he's called you the P-O word.
It's almost like David Wilcock is living in some bizarro version of They Live, and he puts the glasses on and he sees pedo everywhere.
Let's try not to say that anymore.
Look at the highlights. Once again,
Again, implying that all of his detractors or critics are P words.
You're starting to see, he says,
let's just say P word from now on, John. YouTube hates that word.
Dale Val says, people who never expose evil and ignore things right in front of their face won't evolve. Christ likes courage. Will you be that powder puff? Jesus will tell you.
Somebody said he's a spoiled rich kid who's never been knocked out.
The beekeeper. Please, David, feed your dog, says Roxana. No, I think a lot of people want me to continue. We're almost done with these silly emails, but I got one more for you. A couple more.
Pause the video.
But I want to read through this
here we
stuff.
go.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Don't believe David Wilcock when he says silly emails. He just spent like the final hour of his stream going over all of them because they were super, super serious to him.
Yeah. This is just crazy.
Katmere Stone says, evil is the stupid choice. God bless David. And so Kaleidoscope Eyes, he's the type of person when he says something down south to two women or more, when he walks away, they say, bless his heart. Kwan Hong Chan just donated. On the topic of bullies, I had a dream where I was escaping from a high school bully. He threatened to kill me with a petrification blade on the full moon. I confronted him. Both
Listen to the wacky.
Did not petrify. We made up and reconciled.
Oh, man, wacky.
Somebody else says, drain the swamp. So we know who this guy is. He's not an AI troll, as Alethea suggested. He's a real person. He has real videos. And his name is about to go public. And again, that creates unavoidable hazards. In order for me to defend myself, we're going to make him known. You're going to know what his name is, and then everybody's going to go after him. He's not going to like that at all. So he really should just stop because, again, each time he does this stuff, he's adding to his jail sentence if we go after him. And now he's literally leaving us no choice. So now he added another crime, which is criminal impersonation of an attorney.
Pause the video. David Wilcock said that that someone is going to jail when he goes after them. Is David Wilcock a law enforcement officer?
Yeah, I guess so. In the land of make-believe, he's the sheriff, John. He's the sheriff of Wackadooville, right? That's what I think. I think he's the sheriff of Wackadooville. Oh, let's continue here. We're almost through this.
Peter Mendoza, yeah, isn't that something, huh? Spadevacchia, Spud and Veggies, right. So then 2 days after I told him we're going to have to go after him, then he writes this to me. He says, lawsuit underway. Well, first of all, if an attorney gives you a lawsuit, they don't write that in the heading. There's so many things that are so silly about this. Beth Eby donated $50. Thank you, Beth. And again, we're almost done with this. This is very quick. I just want to show you this. We got more stuff ahead, so please hang in there. He says, lawsuit underway. I want you to think about this. First of all, would any attorney ever write you on a Yahoo email? Absolutely not. They have a law firm. They use their corporate law firm email. Well, now he's going to figure that out. But there's so many spelling errors in this stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's David W. from blank law firm in California.
And again, just to be clear, you didn't send this email. You don't know who did.
I've never seen any of this before.
But he's saying that it's all the same person, you, that are doing all this stuff. So just to be clear, he keeps lying to his audience over and over and over again. It's incredible.
Yeah. We are serving a writ today. That's not even what it's called, aimed at both the company and the individual. First of all, notice the spelling mistakes. He doesn't have the apostrophe in it. And the individual, a Mr. David Wilcock, regarding the evidence if wrongdoing, not of, he had a typo again, provided in cosmic secret by a Mr. Corey Good. Written summonings, and he's got an apostrophe in there that shouldn't be there, have been posted. You are required to attend court along with the other filmmakers at 9 hours on 7/7/24. Address is provided in both the written and email confirmations by my secretary. Please do not hesitate to contact our office via email or London HQ via telephone on blank. Kind regards, David W.
Hey, can we pause the video?
Yes.
Legal director.
So What is so? This looks like some kind of form submission that someone went to David Wilcock's site and put in. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, this is so stupid.
Commercial team, blankety blank law incorporated. Okay, so let's break this thing down. There's multiple spelling mistakes. If an attorney makes even one mistake like this, the judge does not look fondly on it. They get their case thrown out. There's multiple typos and grammatical mistakes. Peace Abel just donated and said, off topic, have you heard from David Seaman? I haven't seen anything from him. No, I haven't. But he used to be awesome. So all of a sudden he switches to the same thing he's been attacking me about for 10 years, which is Corey Good. Now,
and just to be clear, John, have you attacked David Wilcock for 10 years or attacked him over Corey Good for 10 years? Because that's what he's claiming here.
Man, 10 years ago, if I told myself I'd be attacking Corey Good or David Wilcock, I think I would have laughed hysterically. No, I haven't done it.
Me too.
First of all, I never got anything from a secretary, and Chris actually went and checked with this firm. They knew nothing about it. It's all fake. The phone number is fake. The email is fake. It's a fake lawsuit threat. And if you give somebody a service of process, it's a long time before you get a court date. If he thinks that in like 2 weeks that we're going to have to go to court, as it says here, 7/7/24, you are required to. This is a fantasy. I mean, he doesn't know anything. So I just want you to be aware of this. That's the last of the letters. But then he just, again, as I said.
Now he's talking about troll accounts, and I am aware of somebody on Twitter that makes multiple accounts just to post things on David Wilcock's Twitter threads, right? But he's blaming you for this, John. Do you have multiple Twitter accounts, including Elizabeth? I just want to put on the record, including Elizabeth Wilcock, Archangel Michael, or Egyptian God Ra. Are those your Twitter accounts?
None of those accounts are mine. And I will say this. I noticed a distinct increase in this type of thing when David Wilcock in the last 4 or 5 live streams has started going downhill. Before this happened, it wasn't bad. I noticed this.
Yeah.
Said these are 3 different examples of names that he comes up with. He creates these fake accounts. Elizabeth Wilcock, Archangel Michael, Egyptian God Ra, Sophia Johansson just donated. Love you, David. Let's go on saving the world. So this is the same thing over and over again. Elizabeth Wilcock. And notice he's got Seraphine 37200, so he can make as many of these as he wants. He just changes the number. Now check the wording. He's got her picture. He's impersonating her. This video is conclusive proof that David Wilcock is blatantly lying about his association with Shadow. The DM messages between Shadow and X-User are genuine, not altered or fabricated. Of course, that's what a liar is going to say. David is a duplicitous charlatan and fraudster. That is a projection.
Hey, I'm going to make a prediction, and we'll come back and revisit this in, maybe 6-9 months. David Wilcock is never going to drop this Shadow of Ezra text conversation. This is going to live in his head for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's one example. Boom, here's another one. Archangel Michael, 2 Angel Michael. Same exact wording. Same exact wording, folks. And here's another one. Egyptian God Ra. Exactly the same wording.
Yeah, and I can explain it. Here's what happens. Just to push back a little bit on what Wilcock is crying about here. Somebody on Twitter will post something on a Twitter thread of his like this, that trying to inform his followers that David Wilcock is lying to them and Shadows of Ezra doesn't know who he is and thinks he's insane. David Wilcock will block that person and delete that comment. So that person will go on another account and put it back, right? It's because of his echo chamber that is creating this effect.
That reminds me, I should point out that, the people who have CrowdStrike me in this video, and, Chris Beskar said I'm insane, yada, yada, yada. None of these people have actually, blocked me on Twitter.
That doesn't make sense. If somebody's stalking you and cyber stalking you and harassing you,
if I'm making
you do is delete them from your social medias, right?
If I'm making threats, harassing, being mean, making people cry, they haven't blocked me. Hey, real quick, by the way, I forgot to answer earlier. As far as making people within Stavati cry, I will say this. I can't verify it, but if I was them and I knew what I know, I'd cry too.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Who has the time to make 2 new accounts every single time I post? and say this stuff. You see? It's so crazy. And then here's another one that he did. Will you admit to being a con artist and give people their money back? One education.
Ouch. Now remember, people, this is just people posting stuff on his Twitter, but he is claiming that this is a deep state attack and these people are intelligence people. They're being paid to do this.
Hey, all I have to say is I really hope they don't make one of his dog, because then it's going to get awkward.
Yeah.
So again, folks, this is the reality of what I'm dealing with. That's the end of these slides. Sophia Johansson just donated. Mel Lazarian just donated. Thank you guys for donating. So actually, we do.
So isn't it funny to you, John, that people are giving him money while he is actively lying through his teeth to them? Like, it's kind of funny to me. Like, he is 100% verifiably, provably lying to them, and they're giving him money for it. They're like, we love your lies. Here's some more money.
Here's the issue. Not everything he says is untrue. It's just a lot of what he says is untrue. And his followers, his followers for a long time now have been conditioned with his presentation style and whatnot to not really scrutinize what he says. His words basically just go in their ears without, any criticism or anything.
I've often thought his audience are low information people. They're not the kind of people that will hear him say something and then go do some research on what he said or fact check what he said. You're right. They just eat it up. Yeah, I think we're pretty much at the end of this. Have enough
time to go through this stuff. I want to review this evidentiary data with you guys.
This is evidentiary data.
Because again, I believe that this person is being paid. I think right now he should be very concerned about what's on his laptop. He probably wants to delete all the stuff on his laptop right away.
This is another implication of the P word. And please don't say the whole word anymore, John. He's implying that his critics have child-related images on their laptop, and they better be concerned.
This whole presentation is such a mess. It's a mishmash of, oh, we think you've done crimes. It's a mishmash of, oh, we're going to sue you for wronging us. And now it's, oh, we're under attack by the Dark Alliance pedo cabal. He's seriously just throwing stuff against the wall, hoping anything.
I gotta tell you this: YouTube hates that word. Don't say that word.
My bad. I'm new, so yeah.
No, it's okay. Yes, this is one of your first live streams. I've never seen you do a live stream, so it's forgivable. I just try to minimize the use of that word because they don't like that word at all.
I haven't called anyone the P word.
Mostly because of the pizza thing, they don't like that word. Because most of the people that say that a lot on streams are basically slandering people. And the algo doesn't know the difference,
I'm not calling anybody the P word. I just merely said the P word. I just want to get that.
Yes, exactly. But he's implying to his stupid followers that anybody that's critical of him is one of those people. And they have, illegal material on their laptops because they're one of those people. It's crazy.
Because, we've already got enough. We don't need any more evidence. But what other stuff are we going to find on your laptop? And you really need to stop doing this and stop using.
Hold on. Is David? Is he saying he's going to come over to where I live and look at my laptop? Is that what he's saying here?
I know, it's so stupid. I think he's trying to imply that he would subpoena everything on your laptop.
Hey, here's an open invitation.
You can subpoena certain records, but you can't subpoena somebody's entire laptop, and even in a slander or defamatory lawsuit, you can't get the whole laptop. You can get records, pertinent to the lawsuit, but not the whole laptop. So he doesn't even know how any of this works.
This is just more painful, unfortunate stuff from David.
Yeah.
Using names that imply that you're a predator, that imply that the reason you're doing this is because you don't like the exposures that I'm coming out with. Okay.
Another implication.
We've had enough. He's threatened people. He's threatened attorneys. He's threatened their families. He's threatened board members. He's very aggressive, and I'm tired of it. So the only way I can let you guys know how serious this is to show you what he's doing. So when you see these videos, it's not real. Ezra is very supportive. This one guy who just keeps, again...
Pause the video. David Wilcock, are you tired of what's going on, or are other people within Stavati tired of what's going on? That's my question.
Very good question. Very good question there. Absolutely, great question there.
2 or 3 new accounts every time I do this, and he's never going to stop. It's obvious that he's never going to stop. So he has forced us to have to go into the legal arena. So yes, Spud and Veggies, yes, Pedro Mend, yes, Peter Mendoza, please get a real attorney and start talking to them about how you could reduce your jail sentence when we come after you. This is coming.
Last I checked, David Wilcock and nobody at Stavati was a criminal prosecutor.
So let's just think about what he just said.
He's so stupid. This guy is dumb as rocks.
He just said, "We haven't sued you. Please go proactively get an attorney, so that somehow when we sue you, and you go to jail for a civil suit, that the attorney can somehow reduce your." This is manic. I'm sorry. I can't even.
It's ridiculous. We're just about done with him now.
We've walked over the line. There's nothing we can do now. We have to do this. I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. I mean, it's long overdue. We just have to be able to afford to do it. It's going to be very expensive. You're going to spend all of your money fighting this thing, and you're not going to like it, and it'll take a long time, but we're going to have justice. So let's talk about this evidentiary data. First of all,
oh, now he just rambles about nonsense, right?
Wait, I thought he was showing the evidentiary data for like the last 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, no, it turns out he doesn't have any evidentiary data. He has an opinion that people asking questions is an attack. I think we've seen enough, John. It's clear that he clearly lied to his audience 10 times in 10 minutes. It's clear that he falsely accused you of being multiple other Twitter user accounts. It's clear that he falsely accused you of being the P word. It's clear that he falsely accused you of threatening people, threatening people's family, threatening people that you're emailing. It's clear that he falsely accused you of threatening people, and then he shows the evidence which proves you didn't threaten anybody. This is bizarro world.
Yeah, it's. I think it's obvious what's going on here. Like I said, he's throwing anything against the wall in an act of desperation to see if anything sticks. He basically said lawsuits, crimes, kitty, whatever on your computer. He basically mixed all that together into like a mashed potato salad and just threw it against the wall. And he's like, "See, look at all these mean things that they said about me." This is
I can tell you that this is straight out of Corey Good's playbook. It's like he took everything that Corey Good did to his critics, and he's trying to use that to convince. And both of them did this, in my opinion, to convince their followers that everybody that was criticizing what they were saying was a criminal and a P word and an awful person and a slanderer and a cyber stalker and a harasser. It's the same thing Corey Good did. And look how great that worked out for Corey Good.
It's the everyone I don't like is the Dark Alliance argument. Basically.
Yeah. It's incredible. So let me ask you, you've been doing all this research and for the book, how much do you think you're going to wait until you see what happens? Like, what is this time frame that you're looking at for the book?
So that's a good question. I look at this whole CrowdStrike event as really an attempt to get me to do something. I think at least that's what I think they've telegraphed to me here, is they want me to dox somebody or rage post or make some kind of knee-jerk reaction that gives them an idea of what I know or what I have. And I just have to say this, and to answer your question, I'm going to go at my own pace. I'm in control here. They are not in control. And that is clearly obvious from this video.
Very obvious,
in fact, it's become glaringly obvious from his last 4 or 5 live streams that control is being loosened here.
Yeah. So do you have any predictions? Like, what do you think's going to be happening with Stavati in the next 6 months? Do you think they're actually going to get the mythical loans that Wilcock keeps promising are coming? And
So let me address some of that. There's been a lot of rumors that like Liz Laurie or Del Morgan is giving them a loan like imminently. Those are all rumors. I've seen no indication that that's the case. And let me say this. Remember that disclosure conference back in 2021 that David Wilcock crashed, where like he basically took the mic from Corey Good and basically stole the show? Do you remember that?
yes,
If you go and look at that video, he says in the video that Stavati just got an investor. Well, that was 3 years ago. And so everyone who's kind of sitting on the edge of their seats like, oh, Stavati says they're getting money, they're getting money. They literally say this every week. Or let me rephrase that. David Wilcock literally says this every week. And it's become obvious to me that other Stavati associates are telling David Wilcock things, and they seem to keep telling him things over and over and over again for long periods of time, and none of it's panning out. I think that there is deception going on.
yeah, and I wanted to also just for the benefit of my audience, when somebody forms an opinion that a company is shady or uses words like a scam, when somebody forms that opinion, if it's a well-informed opinion, I think that's okay. And here, John is sharing some information about one of the people directly connected to Stavati Aerospace. And you say high noon has come and gone, and David's vile and Corey-like threats subside. Let's take a look at his Stavati associates. Let's look at securities fraudster Rudy Chacon. Can you tell us the story of him? And remember, this is a person directly connected to Stavati, right?
So Mr. Chacon is named in the Dimitrov case. Just to briefly say what happened there, he is one of the named parties. He is the party that evaded service in the lawsuit for the longest time. There are pictures and court filings of process servers staking out his residences or his alleged residences, like it's some kind of Humphrey Bogart film noir.
Oh, just to be clear, so somebody understands, when you get served with a lawsuit, somebody has to physically hand it to you in person and say you've been served, right?
Correct.
And so
yeah.
he's running around trying to avoid somebody doing that, so that he doesn't have to go to court, or what do you think?
Correct. He evaded it. He evaded it to such extent that the plaintiff's attorneys filed and the judge granted alternative service for Mr. Chacon. What is alternative service? Alternative service is where they don't have to hand you the lawsuit in person. They just mail it to you via first-class mail to your last known address. Wow. So that's what happened, and that's how Mr. Chacon was served in this lawsuit, was via alternative service. But to keep going on the story, just to explain his background, he, aside from his allegations in Dimitrov and his involvement with Stavati, Mr. Chacon has a proved involvement here in an SEC case called SEC versus John C. Willie Jr. And just to give a short, summary of what happened in this case, Mr. Willie was starting an investment fund. He recruited two other individuals, one of whom was Rudy. They organized it. They funded the project. They got a fourth investor to come in, I believe called Temperance, it was Amber Hill. They got the Amber Hill corporate entity to come in and invest. And so after this fourth investor invested with John C. Willie, Rudy, and the other guy, I forget the name off the top of my head, the SEC somehow got word of what was going on, and they did an investigation. And what they found was that this investment fund, this high yield investment fund run by John C. Willie and being helped organized by Rudy and the other guy, the whole project, it didn't exist and it never existed. Mr. Willie and Mr. Chacon described this project as something where investors would invest money. It would be wired to a bank in Gibraltar, and the money that was invested would be used as reserves for commercial loans. And the profit percentages on these commercial loans were very good. They were about 100%. That's the first red flag there.
Yeah, that might be a red flag. This is a scam.
So that's how it was advertised. When the SEC investigated and they found it was not true, what they found was that any investors who were investing, Mr. Willie was wiring their money to Gibraltar. then wiring the money to another bank in Switzerland, and then finally wiring the money back to a domestic American bank. And the SEC looked at, the money in the American bank and what was going on, and what they found is that Mr. Willie was spending a lot of the money on personal expenses like renovations for his home and gifts for his children. That's Father of the Year candidate right there. I mean, Stephen, you might love your kids, but have you laundered money through Gibraltar for your children?
No, I don't think I would do that. Yeah. I don't like bars and
So
prisons.
the long and short of it is, Mr. Willie was found culpable. Chacon was not a named party, but as far as the facts of the court filings, the facts that the court found, he was involved. So
he was directly involved in some kind of other investment scam, and now he's directly involved in Stavati, alleged investor scam.
Correct.
And now he's involved directly with Stavati. And then we've also got Bill McEwen on the board, who was involved in all the Amiga lawsuits and shady business dealings. This is not looking good for this. From an outsider looking in, if you've got multiple people that have been involved in all these shady business practices, then add David Wilcock to the mix. And we've extensively covered his shady business dealings. One of my favorite things is that David Wilcock ran a charity where he collected, I don't remember, I think it was $100,000 or $150,000, but that's just the 2 years that he released the records for. Then he spent all the money on, software, meals and entertainment, and equipment. And my big question about Wilcock is, what happened to all the money? What happened to all the equipment and software that you purchased with charitable donations? He's not allowed to use that for his for-profit company. It can only be used for the charity, which is basically Belly Up, I think.
Yeah,
and that's just one of those shady business things he's been involved in.
It definitely looks questionable, and one of the benefits of doing my Stavati research is I haven't had to worry about his charities and nonprofits too much.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to set the record straight. And this once again proves that one of the ways David Wilcock is lying to you is that his lips are moving. Because it's just incredible how many times he lied in the short 5 minute or 8 minute, however many minutes we went through. He just lie. It's ridiculous. And he's getting paid to lie to people. That's what bothers me, John. He's collecting super chats while he's calling people the P word and criminals and cyber stalkers and harassers, and they're threatening people. He's collecting super chats while he's lying on YouTube. That's got to be a violation of terms of service. I don't understand how. I am continually shocked that he still has a YouTube channel.
It's a question that it's an interesting question, because a lot of the things that he talks about and says, other channels might get removed or banned for that. So how has his channel been able to continue in that fashion for so long? And you know what? He even pretends like, DJT and DS. He even uses like all these acronyms to try and communicate to his audience, and it doesn't seem like there's any controversy about it at all as far as him being censored on YouTube.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. But I'm glad. I just want to tell you that it's a lonely world. Like, how many people know this much about Stavati and Wilcock as you and me? So I'm glad you're out there doing the Stavati stuff, so I don't have to. And I'd be happy to share with you all my paperwork with Wilcock. So, I'm glad that you're there, and I'm glad you're doing this work. And I hope that this doesn't spook you. These threats don't spook you from stopping to ask questions, because lawsuits, or even just threats of lawsuits, can have a chilling effect on free speech. But I think I know you well enough to know that you're not going to back down here and just walk away. You're going to keep at it. I hope.
I'm shaking in my space boots, the same space boots Corey Good gave me from his last secret space adventure.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes. Well, you must be a very courageous man, because you're basically not backing down when the savior of Earth tells you to back down. He's Earth's greatest prophet and savior of Earth. Or what do you call the liberator or something? Jeez, God, what an ego. But yeah, I'm glad that you're there. And
he's the savior of Earth. He's the savior of Earth, and I gave him his worst bully ever, according to him.
Yeah, asking questions is bullying now, John. But I agree. There's been several people in the live chat that said something like the truth is the best defense in a lawsuit. And I know that you have the truth on your side, John. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm glad for that.
I
You know,
I
and
have
when you
yeah,
throw around these legal threats, like I said on a previous show, like, what are you going to sue me for? Sharing publicly available court documents and talking about them? Like, what are you going to sue me for? And by the way, in my case, a lot of what I do here is a comedic parody. That's the hardest thing to sue somebody for. You know, if it's a comedic parody, like the bumper we opened the show with, the Wacky World of Wilcock, it's a joke. It's a comedic parody because it is the wacky world. I'm allowed to do that. It's constitutional free speech, and I would just make sure that we tell everybody that if somebody threatens to sue you to take away your free speech, that could be a federal lawsuit because they're trying to stop your constitutional rights to free speech. You can't do that to people. You can't silence people because they said something you don't like. That's totally against the Constitution, I think. I don't know.
yeah, their whole goal is definitely to chill speech, and they have no meritorious arguments. So they're basically just trying to throw things against the wall and see what sticks. Or maybe they're just hoping that if they send David on the live stream, drinking wine, screaming, the P word, jail, attorneys, that all of these, trigger words will somehow get under my skin, and it's just not. Here's the situation. His flat gun is out of flak, and my bomber is just going to stay on target. And
I can't give too much away because, listen, I always keep my word, but I just want to make sure that I impress to my audience that what little John has shared publicly or tonight is nothing compared to some of the stuff that he has. So I think that John's right. Like, it's the last desperate attempt of a grifter to use that P word and say my detractors are criminals and all this other stuff. He's got nothing left. There's nothing else he could do or threaten you with, John. And you've got the truth on your side and a great deal more information to share eventually that doesn't paint them in a very good light, I think. So
no, the audience should understand that the Stavati rabbit hole and the depth of breadth of what's going on here is much more significant than most people in the audience can probably imagine right now. And that's all I can really say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to throw you out of here. You can just exit your browser. Once I do that, I'll do a quick wrap up with my audience. And hopefully it'll come back for an update when none of this stuff that Wilcock is talking about ever happens, like the Great Awakening and the mass contact event and the Ascension and all that's supposed to happen, in 2025, John? It's all going to happen.
Well, now that I've done this once, maybe we should make it like a semi-regular thing.
Yeah, you're always. Anytime I do a Wacky World of Wilcock, you're welcome to come along for the ride. I appreciate it. I had a good time tonight. Thank you.
No problem, and it was a privilege to be here, and I'm glad we could have this talk tonight.
All right, thanks, John. You have a great night. All right, friends, what a great conversation. I like shows like this because they're just effortless. And like I said, we could have had this conversation off air, but I just thought, let's do it on air and bring the whole audience along. R2 Dizzle is here and says, great show. Yeah, we appreciate that. Now we want to take a moment to recognize all you kind and generous benefactors. For those unaware, we're a viewer-supported show. And unlike David Wilcock, who literally collects super chats to lie to people, I've given you the truth of we've peeled back all these layers of deception that David Wilcock is using to fool his stupid followers. And we're a viewer-supported show. But unlike Wilcock, we're bringing you the actual and real verifiable truth with facts and evidence and not lying to you. So we read every single super chat. I'm sorry we didn't read them during the broadcast, but it gets distracting when we're trying to get through certain material and have a conversation. We want to thank all you kind and generous benefactors. Collie Armstrong with a kind and generous 3-pound super sticker. Thank you. Longtime show supporter. Rotary Motion, also a longtime show supporter with a kind and generous 2-pound. Keep Saturday free. Ashton Forbes is going down. DM me on Twitter. Let me know what that's about, Rotary Motion. And we appreciate you for being a member, and we appreciate your long-term support. Thank you so much. Chuck Bam. kind and generous $2 super chat. Also a long-time show supporter. We have so many long-term show supporters, long-time show supporters. You repeaters, we love you all. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Chuck Bam. We've got Spooky with a kind and generous £1.99 says, David has a narcissistic martyr complex. I'm going to have to look that up, but I think you're absolutely right. He's definitely narcissistic, and he always plays the martyr. So that sounds like that makes sense to me, Spooky. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Legal Eagle is here. Thank you for being a member and says, fantastic show, Stephen. Thank you. And Spooky with another one. David's ego, no, like Christian middle name, martyred. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Now I sort of lost my place. Oh, here, we got it. Thank you, Spooky. And we thank Chester Wester. I don't even know what that is. 5 something. Chester Wester, thanks for being a member. And your 5, is that pounds? I don't know what that is. Or maybe that's EU money. What if this party smurf just found Osley's long lost stash? Well, that would be a good evening. Thank you, Chester Wester, for 2 things: being a member and your kindness, generosity, and support with the 5 EU dollars, I think. Chris Damaris with a kind and generous $9.99 super chat. So you can get your master cylinder fixed. That van is long gone. But thank you. I appreciate your kindness, generosity, and support. We'll see if we can. I do have to get the brakes on my current vehicle fixed, which this David Wilcock nonsense just reminded me of. JJ, thanks for being a member and a kind and generous 10-pound super chat. Thank you very much. And then we have JJ with a kind and generous 10-pound. Thank you very much. Bunker Buster, longtime show supporter and channel member as well, says, great show with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat. We have Sandra McDonald with a kind and generous $7.99 Australian dollars. Thank you, Sandra McDonald, longtime show supporter and YouTube channel member, a kind and generous $7.99 Australian super sticker. I'm going to be eating some shrimp this weekend, Sandra McDonald, and I will think of you when I do that. I don't know why, but every time I eat shrimp, of course, I think to myself, put another shrimp on the Barbie, and I will literally be putting another shrimp on the Barbie this weekend. Thank you, Sandra McDonald, an Egyptian princess with kind and generous $3 super sticker. We thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We want to thank all of our kind and generous benefactors, all you super chatters from tonight, who I've just thanked, and then, of course, all of you kind and generous Patreon supporters, Twitch subscribers, PayPal pledgers. Thanks to all of you.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right. So we also want to take a moment to thank D initials DF, Mr. Fish, for a kind and generous $5 PayPal pledge. We also thank Maria for a kind and generous $25 PayPal pledge. For those unaware, besides the super chats, you can always send a PayPal pledge to truthseekershow@gmail.com. But be sure to add a note, because we read every single one of the PayPal pledges as well. Thank you, both PayPal pledgers from tonight, Mr. Fish and Maria, for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show, and of course for helping us to
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Right, friends, we are praising the cash. So I'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. I think tonight has been great because it's really been revealing. Did I miss one? I think I did. ML with a kind and generous $10 super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate it. Great avatar. Is that like Vishnu, or what is that avatar? It's something from Hinduism, I think. But thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, and of course for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
All right, we'll take some comments and questions from the chat. I've got a little more time to share with you. And I wanted to take a moment just to do the good thing. I try to be a good YouTuber, but sometimes you just forget to do things. I'm supposed to promote upcoming premieres. And this weekend, we're going to have a really, really fun weekend for you. because this weekend is going to be Ladies' Night on Truth Seekers. Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Friday night, and Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Friday night, this night, we're calling it Truth Seekers Ladies' Night. And what it is a compilation of previous interviews. We've got ghost hunter Rachel Hoffman. We've got Erica Lukes, formerly of UFO Classified, and currently of Expanding Frontiers Research. We've got Sheila Aliens, who's amazing, and of course Emily Louise from Weird Reads by Emily. And that is Friday night. And then on Saturday night, I had I tried to jam them all in one night, but I wasn't able to do that. So on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have another long stream and premiere, which is also Ladies' Night. This is Ladies' Night Part 2. We have interviews with Terry Joyce from Not My Rabbit Hole, with Intel Lady from the Intel Lady YouTube channel, with Bree and Jamie from That One Time I Was Abducted by Aliens, another interview with Rachel Hoffman, the ghost hunter, and Erica Lukes of Expanding Frontiers Research. So pretty busy weekend here at Truth Seekers. And then of course there's more. Tomorrow night we're going to be debuting a Truth Seekers classic episode, because I will be driving to the cabin during our normal broadcast time, most likely. But coming up tomorrow, we have this classic episode for you, and kind of keeping with the theme, I guess, of ladies. But this one, instead of interviewing her, I'm busting her as a fake psychic and alleged New Age scammer. And this is Elizabeth April, New Age psychic or New Age scammer. And that's another Truth Seeker classic episode. And then finally, we've got one more for you, which really was one of my favorites. For those unaware, there's a guy named UFO Jesus. And he's the kind of guy that tells you disclosure's here any day now, it's coming. And he's been at it for years. And all UFO Jesus does is parrot the talking points of the UFO celebrity grifter scumbag selling people lies. And so I created my own character called UFO Lucifer. And during this compilation, this is 4 hours of me showing UFO Jesus lying to his audience and getting facts wrong, and basically being a fluffer and a parrot for UFO celebrity scumbag liars. This is one of my favorite things. And yes, I appear as UFO Lucifer during this entire 4-hour broadcast. Not an easy thing to do, but of course, this is a compilation of 4 or 5 different short episodes that we did. They were short episodes because you can only stay in this prosthetic for so long. But Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we've got another special premiere. It's a compilation, UFO Lucifer versus UFO Jesus. And UFO Lucifer basically destroys the lying fake Jesus and proves that he is a false UFO Messiah. UFO Jesus is the boy who cried disclosure. You know, like the boy who cried wolf. He's constantly crying disclosure to the point that if disclosure ever really does come, no one will believe him. So we've got a full-on weekend for you. This may be the last live show for the week. Short week. DJDs. Any guess on how much longer before David is booted from his McMansion? You know, I don't wish anybody to be homeless. I was homeless once, and it was the most difficult period of my entire life. I couch surfed for a while, stayed with friends, but after a while you wear out your welcome everywhere. Eventually, I squatted in abandoned buildings and park benches or wherever I could find highway overpass to it wasn't a good, it was only weeks, but it felt like years. And I got an education into being homeless. So I have an incredible amount of empathy and sympathy for homeless people to this day. I don't wish that on him, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to keep this charade up much longer. We talked about how David Wilcock lives in a false reality of his own making. It's the wacky world of Wilcock, where he thinks he's the savior of the universe and all these great things are going to happen and everybody's going to worship him. David Wilcock is a lying grifter who's been caught lying how many times now? He can't keep this up because he wears out the people that are paying attention to him by constantly begging them for money until they get broke or sick of that and no longer give him any money. It's really, really ridiculous. But there is some good news, and that is I have created some AI fun things. And one of them is an AI wackadoo translator. In other words, we just feed a script of David Wilcock's stream into it, but then we tell it to tell the truth. Yes. And so people have asked me to, not this latest stream, which we covered tonight, but the one before that, people asked me, hey, can you cover his stream? And so this is our AI covering David Wilcock and translating his wackadoo, but telling the truth about what he's really saying.
The people who give me money, they all forgot I did this whole grift before, and nothing I predicted ever happened. So here, I am once again kicking the can and predicting the very same global event again. Anyone want to bet what the odds are that this time all this stuff will happen now? Mass arrests. It's a massive global event, and I've been predicting it since the early 2000s. Now everyone will know I am Earth's greatest prophet and psychic medium. It's about time. 3 days of darkness. Your internet may go out. Phones and cable television channels will all play emergency announcements about the Dark Alliance finally being defeated. Everything I have been saying will happen in the next couple days. It will all happen in the next couple days, if not by next week. If not next week, by next month for sure. And hey, if it doesn't happen next month, then by next year for sure. And you know what? If it doesn't happen next year, I'll just play kick the can and predict this again in a couple years. What a great grift I have. Free money for making false predictions and promoting fake conspiracy theories. Nothing is too nutty for me to promote. Pizzagate, the global cabal, mass arrests, military tribunals, and hey, never forget I told everyone I took baths in my own piss and got superpowers.
So there you have it. There's a shortened version of David Wilcock's 3 or 4 hour stream, right? But there's more. You know, David Wilcock has gotten so ridiculous that, you know, and I'm sorry, but like when you're on a public live stream telling people that the Archangel Michael told you to take baths in your own piss to get superpowers, not only that, but it worked and you did get superpowers. I kind of lose my mind a little bit. And I was thinking, like, right now he's selling people books he claims are from angels, right? The angel wrote those books. And I was thinking, like, what is he going to sell next? And somebody in my live chat or on Twitter, I can't quite remember which one that was, but somebody suggested that he's going to start selling his own urine soon to his stupid followers. And I thought, well, what a great comedic idea that is. What if David Wilcock started selling his own urine to his stupid followers? So, of course, again, this is a comedic parody created with our AI. And by the way, I have a background in computer science and a lot of AIs, and I'm going to start using them more here on the show. I decided that that's one of my skills, being able to get this stuff to work and do it. So we're going to include more stuff like this. Let me know what you think in the comments. David Wilcock is now pitching his newest and greatest product ever, friends, and you won't believe what it is. So I'm going to share this comedic parody, and when I come back, I'll take more comments and questions from the live chat. Please put them in all capital letters. Let's hear about David Wilcock's newest and greatest product ever.
The people who give me money, they all forgot
Oh, wrong one. I'm sorry. Let's hear about his newest, greatest product he's ever pitched. Here's the pitch for it, friends.
I'm suing everyone. I can't take this anymore. There's people on the internet who are calling me a con artist. Listen, just because I've been selling fake government insiders for years? Hey, that doesn't mean I'm scamming anyone. I'm an artist, a bullshit artist, yes, but I'm an artist, damn it. Just because I sold fake secret space adventures with Corey, no good for years? Hey, that was some great bullshit, well worth the money I got paid for those fake documentaries, nonsense courses and speaking engagements selling Corey's fake Buck Rogers science fiction and time travel space adventures. I can't take this anymore. People keep calling me out on my decades of fake information, disinformation, lies, and bullshit. People are calling me a con artist. How dare you? I am going to sue you all. As soon as I get this loan, it's all a new game. Yes, that's right. I'm getting the money by this Monday. I mean Tuesday. Well, maybe Thursday. It may not come till this weekend. All right. It should be here next week. If not then, definitely next month. I'm the world's greatest prophet, even though nothing I predict ever happens. Hey, remember when I promised everyone they'd get superpowers? Well, I'm promising that again because people who give me money forget so fast. Why shouldn't I pull that one again? I'm the best bullshit artist on earth. People just forget how many times I predicted those mass arrests that never happened. People forget I promised people solar flashes and world-changing events every time I have a new $333 round of new bullshit to sell. It's a great grift. Anyone remember when I promised people I'd sell them the secrets to free energy and anti-gravity and promised if you gave me $333 that you'd be able to do it too? So funny, no one could do it, but I moved right on to the angel grift after the free energy grift. Remember when I told everyone that Danny and Brinkley was on his deathbed again? I charged everyone $333 for his last talk and course. Turns out he didn't die that time. He's still alive and well. I guess I lied to fake urgency to convince people to buy another course. And hey, let's not forget I keep promising people free energy-driven anti-gravity hover cars that you can even power your house for free from. Forget how many people are suing Stavati Aerospace. It's totally not a scam at all. Like it's real. I just need the loan to come through, then I'll deliver. People keep calling me a con artist, but I am an artist. The world's greatest bullshit artist, sure, but I am the greatest at something, and you are not. I am also Edgar Cayce reincarnated, even though the Edgar Cayce Foundation disputes that and doesn't want me making money off Edgar Cayce's legacy. Remember my charity? I collected perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I spent it all. Me and my wife had an awesome time spending almost $5,000 from those charitable contributions on meals and entertainment. Then I spent thousands on software and equipment. It was awesome. I did almost no real charity work, neither did my wife. We did give about a nickel on the dollar to other charities, but we spent the other 95% on expenses. Why did we have so much in expenses if we do no real charity work anyone can see? Hey man, I have expensive tastes. We bought furniture, software, equipment, computers, cameras, and supplies. Toys for me to play with. Running a charity is fun when you get so much free money to spend. But listen, you need to forget about all my past grifts and keep your mouth shut about all the disinformation, misinformation, and fake government insiders I've sold in the past. Now I have really compelling new bullshit to sell you, so get out your wallets. I need to praise the cash hard right now. I'm suing everyone. I can't take this anymore. There's people on the internet who are calling me a con artist. Listen, just because I've been selling fake government insiders for years? Hey, that doesn't mean I'm scamming anyone. I'm an artist, a bullshit artist, yes, but I'm an artist, damn it. Hello, I'm David Wilcock. I know many of you are struggling with the crippling economy and runaway inflation. Still, it's never a good time to stop grifting, so I can't stop now. I need your money now more than ever. I have a new special offer for you. It's only $333. I know many of you may not have grocery money for the month or rent money, but forget that. Who needs to eat or keep a roof over their head when you can get superpowers from me instead? So forget about all your worries. Buy my special offer before the 3 days of darkness comes and mass arrests. Yeah, see? This special piss came from me, the divine prophet. It's very special piss, see? It will cure all that ails you, see? Yes, see, this special piss can be yours for just $333. The Archangel Michael told me to sell my special prophet piss, see? Make sure you buy gallons and gallons of my special prophet piss. It can give you superpowers. Yeah, see? My special prophet piss can give you superpowers. The Archangel Michael confirms that if you buy my prophet piss, you too can get superpowers. Yeah, see? Get your superpowers from my piss. But wait, there's more. If you send me $333 for this special offer, you will receive a big bonus. Thousands and thousands of pages of failed predictions I can't prove predicted the future. I didn't write this nonsense. An angel did. Praise the cash. Praise the cash. Thank God Almighty. Thank God Almighty, praise the cash. And thank the Archangel Michael, too. He's helping a lot in this grift. Praise the cash. Yeah, see? We're praising the cash. Embrace the grift. Buy my crap. Buy my prophet piss today. So get out your wallets. Forget about your mortgage, your bills. Forget about your car payment or your medical bills. Forget about the terrible economy and buy my special offer today. Who needs food in the refrigerator when you can get superpowers from my prophet piss? Operators are standing by.
Wow. Yeah, so this is one of those things that I've been working on. For those unaware, early on in the show, we use a lot of latex masks and things like that. But we're moving into the digital realm with those sort of puppet projects. And this, Patty says, but yes, there's more. Arlene says, this is hilarious. Dime Bar, wait, there's more. Yes, I gave it the infomercial pitch stuff, right? It's never a good time to stop grifting. Yes, that is it. Yes, the perfect morning startup coffee. Not enough sniffing. I can't get it to sniff. I tried, Pete Berry. Honestly, I did try. Trolly Troll says he should stand at an off ramp with a board sign saying "Expose grifter, give what you can." Yes, use code Jubilation for $83 off. Yes, absolutely. So will Wilcock move in with the trailer park queen? Soon enough, he'll have to, right? But then he'll get sick because she'll expect some of the DD action, and he gets sick. He gets physically ill when he tries to do something with a woman, right? So I think we've covered what we wanted to cover tonight. Mostly, I wanted to do a rebuttal of the outright slander, lies, and false reality that David Wilcock was presenting. What we've learned tonight is that David Wilcock lied to his audience and claimed all of these things were coming from one person. We know that isn't the case. He's lied and claimed that people are threatening people. John set the record straight. We've seen examples of his emails. He's just asking questions. If somebody, listen, there's a great quote, and I've said it here many times, and it applies to this situation with Wilcock accusing John Spadevacchia of being a stalker or, harassing people or threatening people. And that saying is simply that the only people who fear questions are people with something to hide. John is researching a book, and from what I have seen, and I've seen a lot more than he's made public or I've shared here, he's doing a great job of it. He's asking for on-the-record comments from, people close to the story. He's following up with them and requesting, additional information to make his book as factual as possible. If this is threatening to David Wilcock, then, there's no nice way to say it. Then he's a pussy. That's it. That's the way I'm going to say it. And I'm sorry for being crass or crude or rude, but that's how I feel about this situation. It's absolutely ridiculous that he's telling his followers that he's under attack because somebody writing a book is asking questions about his company's shady business dealings. If you don't want people asking questions about your company's shady business dealings, then, hey, clean up your act and don't be doing shady business dealings to the point where an investor sues your company and says in the court documents that your company is an investment scam and a Ponzi scheme. you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what the allegations are against his company. Then there's all the creditors are suing him. Then there's David Wilcock himself admitting that he owes $1.5 million in back taxes that he never paid to the IRS. These were all shady business dealings. And when people see that, they have questions about shady business dealings, as well they should. I don't think that John did anything wrong. And people can accuse me of being biased or whatever, but I don't think he did anything wrong. He's asking for on-the-record comments in polite, respectful, professional emails. That's not a threat. That's not an attack, you know? But Wilcock needs to deflect the criticism, because it's really weird what's happening. There are so many people that are posting that he's a liar or whatever, you know, scammer, grifter, con artist on his Twitter threads, in his live chat, and in his comments, that his followers are starting to see all this stuff and they're starting to ask questions. Dumb as rocks as they are, you know, when you see enough of that, you start going, what's the deal? People are saying Spadevacchia never produced any airplanes. Is that true, David? I've seen that happen. And he should have to answer for this. You know, the whole thing with Wilcock is absolutely from the land of ridiculousness. He's claiming that a company that's been in business for 30 years but never produced a single aircraft product is suddenly going to create, manufacture, and sell hover cars with anti-gravity engines and with free energy engines and anti-gravity propulsion. And you could power your house from it. I mean, you know, if the company had a proven track record of actually producing real products, maybe, but he's just saying that out of the gate, they're going to get a few $1 million and they're going to manufacture hover cars, when this company's never made anything, even with conventional technology. What he's talking about is extremely advanced physics and exotic propulsion and exotic technology. And if you can't even produce regular technology, how are you producing super advanced technology that's 10 or 20 years ahead of, you know, Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin or Boeing? The truth is you're not. It's a pie in the sky false reality that David Wilcock has created around himself. And unfortunately, I think that David Wilcock was scammed himself. That's my personal belief. Having observed this for quite some time, I think Beskar and maybe some other people at that company convinced him that they would help him do these things if he just, you know, helped them out with money or to get a facility. And then he put in, by some accounts, millions of dollars into this. And now the company's broke, being sued by all their creditors. People are trying to get liens placed against the one property, the one tangible asset they have. They're not paying their creditors, so their creditors are starting to sue them for their money. Investors are starting to sue them for their money back because they do things like, you know, this could be a red flag. If a company says, hey, if you give us $1 million, we'll give you back $5 million, that could be a red flag that this company is shady. But that's just my opinion. I'm not an investment professional. Certainly don't take investment advice from me. Garage E says, Wilcock counts on the fact that his audience won't know persistent questions from an investigative journalist is legit and not threats or an attack. Very, very good point, right? And Wingnut says, but can we still give Wilcock a little money? The entertainment value from here is well worth it. You know, I believe in that saying. I think it's Tupac Shakur who says, I don't want anybody to starve, but certain people can't eat from my table. But I wouldn't want anybody to starve, but you're not eating from my table, right? That's how I feel about Wilcock. I don't want the guy to starve to death or be homeless, but, you know, I certainly won't cry any tears if he has some hardships. I think that he owes a karmic debt to the universe. After all, he's been lying to people and taking their money for decades. There's got to be a karmic debt. The whole karma wheel has to rebalance with him. He's going to have to suffer to make up for how he has lied and, in my opinion, lied and sold people fake information, disinformation, misinformation, and completely and totally fake stories. The guy spent 5 years with Corey Goode telling fake secret space adventures for cash. And don't all those people that he took money from deserve to get their money back? Or if the karmic wheel has its balance, then he's going to lose all the money he took by lying to people and then some. And maybe the threefold law will, sometimes if you do evil, it comes back on you 3 times, some people say. So maybe he's going to have to pay for his sins of the past. But I always say this, I wish all men a road to redemption. Despite all my criticism about David Wilcock, he has God-given talents. And I'm not really going to identify them, but we all have God-given talents. God gave him talents as well. And, I've often said that we are our very best selves when we are using the gifts that God has given us for the betterment of all. And Wilcock could choose to do that. He could take his God-given talents and gifts and do something good for the world. But starting a charity and spending all the money on yourself is not a good way to do that, or to display that you're a spiritual guru. If a spiritual guru starts a charity, does almost no charitable work that anybody could see or find, but then spends all the money on meals and entertainment and software and equipment, that's not a good thing. It's not a good look for a so-called spiritual guru. And he called his charity a spiritual organization. Wow. What he did was worse or as bad as some of these televangelists, So anyway, we've done our due diligence. I didn't even need any dinner today, so I'm going to bounce on out here and get something to eat. I'll be at the cabin this weekend, and hopefully I'll be checking in with the live chat, and I may even do a live stream from the live chat if I'm feeling brave enough to brave that internet through the woods cable that sometimes it works when we try it, and sometimes it's a jittery mess. But I may try to do a live stream from the cabin this weekend. This will be the first weekend that my children are there with my wife. So either that or I'll be busy cleaning, because my wife will be very unsatisfied with the cleaning that I have done at the cabin. She likes things very neat and tidy. And, she's a get down on your hands and knees with a toothbrush and clean the corners while you're cleaning the floor kind of person, I did my best to do a good job cleaning, but I doubt that I've done a good enough job to keep her happy. So I'll probably be helping her clean it again or something. Man, you got to keep the lady happy, whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. Just do what she wants, because you're going to eventually need to anyway. Well, so we've done our due diligence. I want to thank all of you kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, Twitch subscribers, super chatters, super thanks, PayPal pledgers. Thanks to all of you. We continue this journey. We're a viewer-supported show, so we really appreciate that. We had great attendance tonight. We thank everybody who showed up for the live broadcast. And I would ask you to do me a favor, and that is to share these videos on your social media, wherever you can, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you could share our videos or a link to them. Please do that on your Twitter. It really, really does help. And if you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live chat. And if you're listening, a live show, I should say. And if you're listening in audio podcast land, we love and appreciate all of you, but you're missing half the fun. So go on over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar. Look for me, the strange guy with the sunglasses. Go to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing one of these live broadcast tapings for the show. So that's all I got for you. I will be back live maybe sometime this weekend, if not Monday at the very latest, but hopefully I will be attempting. I want to try. I think we've done some things that might make live streams from the cabin better, or, so we're going to give that a try. Otherwise, I'll be back live here Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, but we do have a full weekend of shows tomorrow, 9 p.m., Friday, 9 p.m., Saturday, 9 p.m., and Sunday, 9 p.m. We've got some Truth Seekers classics and compilations for you. And I will try my best to check in with the live chat. Thank you, super chatters, during those premieres. And just hang out during the premieres. I like to do that. There's not much to do at the cabin at night, so I will likely be in the live chats. I want to thank our guests our guest tonight as well, John Christian Spadevacchia. And I just want to mention that if you are interested in what he is doing, you can follow him on Twitter. He posts all of his research publicly at JCSPAD, at JCSPAD on Twitter. Follow him over there on Twitter. He's doing some amazing work, pulling these court documents out, peeling back the layers of deception that Wilcock is using to create his false reality where he's the, his aerospace company is some big deal. His aerospace company is a joke that has never produced a single product. But it is what it is, and this is where we find ourselves. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you. Even you, Mr. Wilcock. I hope that you will learn to use your God-given talents for something better than lying to people for money. Good night, and God bless all of you.